Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Present, Jack, firefight at the cabin. I'm thankful as hell Alexei grabbed Ivan and hauled into the cabin, and I need to make sure to thank him and his two sisters. I check that Ivan and Masha are okay, then I look out the window and declare, hell, we have two of the team down, I need to get back out there and fight. Masha comes over and threatens, Jack, don't you dare die, or I will kill you. I fight back a laugh and reply, honey, don't worry, I've fought bigger dogs than this and survived. I grab a range bag full of mags at the front door and head out into the fray, but I'm worried as hell because these scumsuckers mean business. Present, Jens, firefight at the cabin. Shit, I'm so busy making sure that Zarika doesn't die that I can't fight. The attackers are approaching my position, and it's just a matter of time until they overrun. Then the most remarkable thing happens. I hear, Yasmin runs up, grabs a rifle, and begins to fire like a wild woman. She yells, no one will hurt my Zarika and live. Well, this is a big change. Even though she's firing, she's not doing a very good job, so I command, Yasmin, come on, hold this shirt on Zarika's wound, and I will take over. We trade places, then Jack runs up with a whole range bag full of spare mags and asks, who the hell are these scumsuckers, and what the hell do they want? I change mags, because Yasmin wasted the last mag, and reply, I sure as hell don't know, but they sure as hell picked the wrong woman to piss off. I don't get all PMSy, but these scumsuckers attacking us have me pissed off. Jack replies, it looks like one of the twins is down, I should go help. Then he continues, no, it looks like they have help. Oh hell no. I question, Jack, what the hell is wrong? He points and simply explains, reinforcements are coming. Look at the two black SUVs. Present, Alexei, firefight at the cabin. I note from the window that my sister Ira has fallen. I look at Mrs. Reynolds and kindly interrogate, my sister Ira has been injured and my primary mission was to protect Ivan. However, she interrupts, yes, Alexei, I can protect Ivan and you must protect your sisters. I ready myself to fly out the door when Mrs. Reynolds wonderfully reminds me, Alexei, you might require more magazines. She then delivers a container full of replacement AR-15 magazines. I reply, thank you, Mrs. Reynolds, for the extra magazines. I open the door and sprint in a random motion toward my sisters. Present, Mira and Ira, firefight at the cabin. I arrive adjacent to my sister Irinka's side and notice she is unconscious because a projectile impacted her cranial carapace protection, and now I can produce an exhalation of easement. Heave a sigh of relief. However, we are entirely too exposed in this location for continued combat. Then a most remarkable action occurs. Alexei arrives like the mounted cavalry in an antiquated Western genre motion picture. He produces replacement magazines and suggests, Mira, we must move Ira to safety before the adversarial reinforcements arrive. Her mass constitutes too many kilograms for me to translocate her, so you must convey her, and I will provide fire of cover. Then he becomes a terrifying warrior while I acquire Ira and run toward the tree line. I question, Alexei, what is the status of the black utility of sport vehicles? They have arrived adjacent to the cabin, but has their intent been revealed? He calmly replies, I can only focus upon one problem at a time. The doors of the black utility of sport vehicles open and, present, Stacy, at the truck stop. Finally, the damn vet shows up. He says to the scumsucker that shot Bo, move out of my way so I can work. I continue to calm Bo, and he questions, what sort of dickhead shot this horse with a hollow point bullet? We need to do some serious surgery on him, but we can't move him or he will die. It might just be better to put him down and out of his misery. I frantically command, sir, I'm the billionaire Stacy Summers, and I will pay whatever it takes to save this horse. He looks at me and questions, this could get very expensive. I order, I don't care if it is to save Bo's life. I look up as the truckers close around Samantha and her damn husband. Present, Samantha and Frank, at the truck stop. The truckers surround us, draw even closer, and I start to worry. I look at Frank, and I can tell for once he's worried too. I look at him reaching for some of his many weapons and decide he's done enough shooting for tonight. It's time for me to step up to the plate and cause a distraction. And what is always the best distraction a woman can use? I begin to cry and sob. I sure hope Bo survives. Stacy also begins to cry. I can tell it's fake, but it has a positive effect on the truckers as one of them comes up, hugs her, and comforts her. Sorry we made you cry, Missy. But we sure as hell don't go for people shooting horses. Shooting each other is one thing, but shooting a horse is something else. Stacy begins to talk and really saves our bacon when she says, present, Stacy, at the truck stop. I decide there's been enough shooting tonight. The doctor anesthetizes Bo, so I'm no longer needed to calm him, so I stand up and begin to tell the story about Ben and Bo. even though it hurts like hell being away from Ben. It does seem to calm the lynch mob, and it saves Sam and her damn horse-shooting husbands, but they are going to owe one hell of a lot to me. Present, Linus. The last thing I remember, a semi rammed into us and ran us off the road. I slowly wake up and look at the surrounding crowd pointing guns at us. I very slowly raise my hands and surrender. I'm not sure what the hell we did wrong, but we are your prisoners. One of the truckers says, well, whoever you are, you came in our truck stop armed and looking for our trucker's angel. That be reason enough right there to shoot you. I try to calm the situation. Look, you fired first, and when we returned fire we didn't shoot any of you, and we could have. We just wanted to get out of there without getting hurt. Another trucker remarks, and our trucker angel showed Stinky Pete and Reckless Raymond away for us to be safe while moving our loads. Now you want us to let you three take him away. I counter, listen, his real name is Benny Blaine, and because of his military training, he's having a PTSD episode right now. All I want to do is to reunite him with his fiancée. One of the truckers laughs and jokes, She must not be much of a woman if she can't keep her man. Then all hell breaks loose. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas, Eugene, Onegin rehearsals. The conductor angrily raps his baton on the music stand, interrupts practice and yells, just what the hell is that infernal noise? And as if on cue, my stomach growls so loudly that some of the members of the orchestra chuckle. The conductor glares at me and demands, there it is. That's the noise. Just what was that? I smile sheepishly and reply, sorry, sir. That was my stomach. I'm hungry. He gives me an exasperated look, then looks at his watch and laments. Well, we certainly can't practice with that noise. Everyone take an hour for lunch. That made me happy because I was hungry as hell. Shit, I couldn't remember when it was I last ate. The orchestra members start to either pull out their lunches or leave as I run to the back of the auditorium, grab my gear, and head back to the stage. I sit at a big table behind the stage with the other singers, pull out an MRE, but then I notice no one else is eating. I question Tatiana, why aren't you eating? She looks down dejectedly and explains, we do not have the money to eat more than once a day. I give her an incredulous look, shake my head, and wonder aloud, wait. You're telling me that you don't get paid enough to eat? That just doesn't seem right. One of the other singers adds, we had a benefactor who brought us over from Russia and promised us many things. However, when we arrived we discovered that he mainly brought us to be his harem. Tatiana interrupts, that man was an animal and thought he had bought us like common hookers. The singer that plays Lenski, who is Yevgeny's friend in the play, spits on the stage and states, the Duroc, rhymes with Barak and means fool. Even thought he could include us men in his harem. I continue to question, so how do you all survive if no one pays you? Tatiana blushes and says, we all have taken part-time jobs after rehearsal. I make a decision and pull the rest of my MREs out of the pack. I instruct them all how to use the heaters, heat up my meal, and take it with me to go find the stage director. I pull the stage director to the side, have a few choice words with him, and get matters taken care of. I get back to the table and almost laugh. They are trying to figure out what to do with the extra parts of the MREs. So I sit down and show them how to make recon cookies. Lunch is over. We assemble to begin practice and the conductor announces, singers. Why the hell do conductors always think singers aren't musicians too? I have good news for you. Our stage director has just informed me that you have a new benefactor. Tatiana jumps up and down like a little girl, comes over, hugs me, and says, Pavel, this is another miracle. Ever since you arrived, my life has become better. I was too embarrassed to tell you, but my part-time job was dancing in an unsavory bar, and now I will never have to do that again. I secretly smile because I know who the new benefactor is, but I also know my job isn't complete yet. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a chartered jet headed toward Venezuela. When Inga finishes with her tactical plan, I give Byron a look that says, we're screwed. Byron nods in agreement as I question, so what are your contingency plans? Inga replies, we will not need a contingency plan because my plan will work. If there's one thing I know, it's that plans never work right. I look at Byron, and I'm glad as hell he's here to cover my six. Flashback, Ben Beslin. 2 days of this bullshit, and nothing has been done. I still hear the screams in the school. The rat scum sucker terrors are doing God knows what to the hostages. At least it's finally night, and I can get the hell out of this sniper's hide and find the access door to the roof. I grabbed the suppressed Dragunov SVD and the 3 extra 10-round mags. That gave me a total of 38 rounds of 7.62 x 54, our ammo along with the AK-74 and the 3 mags I took from Yuri. I was seriously undersupplied with ammo for what I needed to do. Shit, fighting a whole battle with 148 rounds of ammo didn't bode well for me, because this wasn't a sniper mission. This was a kill all the scumsusers and hope you live mission, which usually requires at least 500 rounds. Yeah, I was seriously screwed. I slipped out of the sniper's hide, and began the search for the access hatch. Flashback, Jack, in Moscow. I woke up a little, recognized I was in the hospital, but was too sick to die. Oh my God, whatever did my loving Masha give me? Shit. I had to puke again. She made me more sick than I had ever been in my whole life. I'm so damn sleepy too. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. I hated to leave my Jack in the hospital because I know he would be very sick until I administered the antidote. However, I needed to resolve the situation with the Sedankinas, and Jack would be an unplanned obstacle. I sent many messages to Miranda but didn't yet have any replies. I hoped I would not have to travel to her location to rectify the situation. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I was not happy at all about Sergeant Reynolds being sick and in the hospital. Via email, I asked the ambassador to send someone to the hospital to check on the SGT's condition. Then I went back to preparing my report for the old man. I sure as hell hoped my assumptions weren't wrong. Otherwise, flashback, Ben Beslin. I found the roof hatch, but as I began to slowly raise it, there was a hell of a noise. So, I bent over and spit on the hinges to lubricate them. I tried the hatch again, and this time there was no loud noise, but I was concerned they might have a guard waiting for me. I opened the hatch and, thank God no one was there. I slowly slipped into the school, now to find my way to the gym. I did find a window that overlooked the gym, pulled out my periscope, and the scumsuckers. They had the gym packed with hostages, so it was standing room only. There must have been over 1,000 people in the gym. I also saw a wire running across the ceiling with what looked to be multiple IEDs hanging off it. Some of the terrors were taking some of the girls and women to a different room. That must be where the scumsuckers are assaulting them. I needed to do some more recon because I had no idea what the layout of the school was. I also wanted to get into that side room and take care of troubling matters. Flashback, AITA, in Israel. My abductor commented, "It's about time you awakened. I have many questions for you, and then there will be time for some fun and games." That voice. I know that voice. It was male offspring of a female Saluki, our Mossad handler. I heard him walk closer and I struggled, but he had me restricted too tightly. Then I felt his hands start moving across my body, up to my face, then he removed the gag. I spat. "When I extricate myself, I will torture you to expiration so slowly you will believe it is your new career." He laughed. "Those are big words for a small woman. So tell me, do you like it when Kostya makes love to you?" I fought my restraints and corrected his misconception. "The beast does not make love to us because it is forced." He mocked. "Then you should be used to what I'm going to do to you. Of course that will be after you have answered my questions. So tell me, which twin are you, Miranda or Irina?" I exclaimed, "Copulate with your corporeal self." His vile hands wandered over my body, then he roughly abused one of my mammary units. I winced in pain. Then he laughed. "Now here's the situation. My hands can give you pleasure." He roughly put his hands between my lower bipedal units. Then he continued, "Or they can inflict pain." He abused my other mammary unit. The choice is yours. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I was locomotivating to escape from the approaching klaxons when I noted a young street ragamuffin watching me from an entryway. If there was one factoid of which I was certain, it was that street urchins oculate many things. I started to approach him, but he rapidly attempted escape. I gave chase, but my burqa prohibited sufficient locomotion, so I cast it aside, gained on the ruffian, and detained him. He struggled and begged, "Please, kind lady, do not beat me. Let me go." I decided to show kindness to this boy that might have never known kindness. I replied, "Boy, if you noticed a man disable and take a woman like me out of the alley, I would be very grateful for information." He struggled to escape and scolded me. "Who are you calling a boy?" I cognate this ragamuffin was a female. Life on the street for a young female would be terrible, so that is why she disguised herself as a male. I knelt down to meet her glare and promised, "Girl, please inform me if you saw someone take that other woman. She was my sister and my only family left in the world. If you know where she is, I will attempt to acquire a protected domicile for you." I saw a glimmer of moisture as it escaped from one of her nasolacrimal ducts while she sputtered as she replied, "I had a sister too, and when she began to develop, bad men took her away. I promised, if you help me extricate my sister from her captors, I will make sure that never happens to you." She bargained, "Will you also help me to try to find my sister?" I consummated a second promise. "Yes, I will, little one. Now what is your name?" She replied, "My name is Safia, and I did see a man take your sister." I continued, "Do you know where he took her?" Safia answered, "No, however one of my friends followed him." Safia acquired my hand, and we locomotivated toward Ira's presumed location. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I finished my report just in time, hopped in my car, and headed to the base for my meeting with the old man. This time, when I arrived in the office, I was let right in. I handed him the report. He looked at it and questioned, I find it strange that Sergeant Reynolds became so sick so quickly. What do you think the cause is, Major? I wanted to say that I thought he was gold-bricking, but instead stated, well, Sergeant Reynolds has been in remarkably good health for his age. The general looked at me and continued, do you think it's time we bring in another spotter? There was nothing I would like better than to separate the two of them, but I knew it would seriously compromise my plans for them, so I answered, no, sir. They work very well together. He stared at me and declared, as long as you keep them out of my hair, that's the most important thing. Flashback, Yints, Computer Club. The picture with the implanted virus worked better than I hoped. We had data coming in from so many computers, it was hard to catalog it all. One came in from a computer, and I gasped. It was Daddy's computer. Why in the world would Daddy be looking at that sort of picture? Then I remembered how he and Mom fought, and it suddenly made sense to me. I sure hoped that my Ben wouldn't open the picture. That would make me very angry. Present, Yints, firefight at the cabin. The two black SUVs arrive at the cabin. I look at Jack, and we both realize how bad this is. Not only are we cut off from the cabin, we are now trapped in opposing fields of fire. This sure as hell isn't the way I expected my life to end. Present, Zarika, firefight at the cabin. I look into Yasmin's eyes and cry, Yasmin, if I die, make sure to take good care of our Ben and tell him that I love him. I see a tear travel across her cheek, and she answers, Zarika, you are Ben's first wife, and you cannot die. The pain in my arm is too great, and I slowly go to sleep. Present, Masha, firefight at the cabin. I watch with great concern as two black SUVs pull up to the cabin. I know that my husband is now totally eliminated from the protection of the cabin, and also that he will be exposed to fire from these reinforcements. I procure a rifle and prepare to defend my husband when. Present, Mira and Ira, firefight at the cabin. We wisely locomotivated to the trees, which not only gave us concealment, it also prevented us from being captured in the open like Ms. Donaldson, Mr. Reynolds, and the two girls. I train my rifle on the lead-black utility of sport vehicle and wait for the door to open. The door opens, and the most amazing thing occurs. Yes, there are reinforcements, but not for our adversaries. They are for us. Men boil out of the vehicles, take up defensive positions, and commence firing. I am particularly impressed with the man in the dress and his kick of side. Present, Hammer, firefight at the cabin. We arrived at the cabin in the middle of a one-sided firefight. It was an intense scene. The team watching over Jennifer were the ones who had transported us. They handed weapons to Todd and me, and then we jumped out of the truck. I rushed toward where Jennifer was pinned down and shouted, kill all the bloody scumsuckers. Present, James, firefight at the cabin. What the hell? I just get the guys out of the hospital, start to take them to Jennifer's cabin for further recuperation when we end up right in the middle of a firefight. Hammer takes off toward Jennifer's position, and I follow right behind him. If he gets his crazy Scottish but shot again, I'm not going to be his nursemaid. Present, Todd, firefight at the cabin. Well, isn't this a fine situation? Jennifer and her team are under attack, which would explain why the front gate was open. I had heard this place was like a fortress. Now I understand the breach of security. I detest the noise of weapons, so I grab my bow and race up the hill toward the enemy. Partway there, I slowly slip up on. Present, Alexei, firefight at the cabin. The black utility vehicles are helping us, but it is still my job to protect my sisters. Mira went back to ministering to Ira while I ensure no one advances on our position. Suddenly, I notice a man stealthily slipping toward us from the vehicles. I command, halt and state your intentions. He raises his hands, then begins to use sign language and explains, I am a friend of Jennifer and request that you let me pass. Mira orders, Alexei, that man is a component of Tom's team and his name is Todd. Grant his wish. I nod my head. Then amazingly the man seems to vanish into the trees. I continue to defend our position and watch with amazement. Present, Yints, firefight at the cabin. Two dead men start rolling down the hill with arrows in them. It has to be Todd from Tom's team. I'd learned he had been some sort of spook assassin, and that by the time you saw him, if you saw him, it was usually too late. I command, everyone make sure of your shots because we have a team member close to the action. Hammer the crazy Scot replies, Akayet woods be Todd and Emne let in him hey teach Finn. Then he jumps up and runs toward the enemies. James takes off after him yelling, you crazy scumsucker, don't you dare get shot again. Jack and I lay down a hellacious cover fire until our M4s are smoking. Finally, the scumsuckers have had enough and begin to retreat. I look at Jack and he questions, just who the hell attacked us? I reply, Jack, we have bigger problems than this. I need to get Zarika to the hospital, but I can't leave you here alone. So where the hell did the rest of the team go? Present, Stacy, at the truck stop. I finish the story of my life with Ben, and I even see a few of the truckers wiping their eyes. One of them says, Miss Stacy, that was beautiful. Samantha comes close to me and wistfully agrees. Stacy, I sure wish I could tell that story to the world. I question, don't you think it might piss your boss off? She admits with a laugh. Yeah, it probably would. But I think the world needs to hear things like this no matter who they piss off. So if you're willing to tell it again in front of the camera, I will make sure it gets on the air. I reluctantly wonder if I've possibly found a new friend. Then the vet stands up and says, well, I've done all I can. It's getting late, and we need to see if we can get this horse to my hospital. That lights a fire under the truckers, and they are all volunteering to help. We get Bo onto a trailer, put Patches into a horse trailer, and get ready to travel to the vet's hospital. Samantha requests, Stacy, do you mind if Frank and I tag along? And I suddenly realize the problem with married friends. You have to include their husbands, even if they are horse-shooting scumsuckers. Present, Linus. The truckers have lined all of us up, are menacing us with their weapons, and I'm sure this is the end. Then the Truth Network news van comes screeching to a stop. Men fly out of it and begin to fire at the truckers. I yell at Matt and Jim, it's time to duck and run for cover. We run like our butts are on fire toward the news van. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas, Eugene, Onegin rehearsals. Rehearsal is finished, and I'm worn the hell out. First, I hardly slept last night then. Well, the singing wasn't hard, but the damn acting was one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever had to do. Who would have thought walking across the stage, hitting your marks, and doing it with the proper timing would be so difficult? I slump to the floor after the last scene as the conductor comes over and announces, well, sir, I don't know your name yet, but you are the new Eugene. I smack my head. This is the last thing I want. But then Tatiana runs over, smiles at me and gushes, Pavel, you were wonderful. Please tell me you will perform with us? I see the anticipation and hope on her face. And who the hell can really say no to a woman? And consent. Yes, Tatiana, I will play Yevgeny for you. I can see her excitement as she demands, where are you staying tonight? I reply, I don't know since I just arrived into town today. She orders, then Pavel, you will stay with me. I reluctantly left with the Tatiana whose real name I didn't even know yet. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. We meet the rest of the team, and I give Byron a knowing look as he nods his head, so at least I know we're on the same page. The SUV drops Inga, Byron, and me a short distance from the compound. Then the SUV continues and breaches the perimeter fence of the narcotic compound. All hell breaks loose, and Inga's plan flies out of the window when an RPG takes out the SUV and her entire team. Byron, Inga and I hunker down behind some dumpsters and I order, Inga, your plan has gone to hell. We need to get the hell out of here. The only problem with that is we have been spotted and the scumsuckers are firing at us. Byron suggests, Tom, let's use this dumpster as rolling cover. That sounds like the best plan I've heard all day, so we slowly move the dumpster, using it as a mobile shield. Things are looking better until... Flashback. Ben Beslin. I just started moving to recon the school and locate that side room when... What the hell? Flashback. Jack, in Moscow. I was finally awake and wished like hell I was back asleep. My God, was I ever sick. It was coming out of both ends, and they had me in isolation because they didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. Shit. I didn't know what the hell Masha gave me, but she was going to have not only some explaining to do, she was going to owe me big time. In fact, that's the only thing that was keeping me going, knowing what I was going to make her do to pay for this bullshit. Flashback. Masha, in Moscow. I finally received an email from Israel, but it was not from either of the Sedankinas. It was from the Mossad, and wondered what sort of team I sent them. I had no concept of what they were upset about, so I queried for clarification and sent another email to the Sedankinas. Then I worried about my Jack because he had been under the influence of the narcotics I gave him for much too long. Flashback. Ira, in Israel. The street urchin found her acquaintance who, after some bartering, took us to the location the male offspring of a female Saluki had taken my sister. The acquaintance departed. I prepared to breach the domicile when Safia queried, could I help you? I responded, the greatest assistance you could provide would be to stand watch and alert me if anyone approached. I breached the door, ignited a bang flash, and flew into the room just in time to unbelievably oculate. My oculatory units could not believe what they observed. I raised my rifle and dispensed multiple death sentences. Flashback. Mira, in Israel. My sister arrived in the time of Nick, just as the male offspring of a female Saluki and several of his friends were prepared to violate my corporeal being. Yes, the reprehensible brute had invited others to help humiliate me, and Mira had timely terminated all of them. She rushed over and queried, Irinko, are you? I interrupted, Marinka, only my pride is wounded. The street urchin ran in and warned, many men with guns are coming. That applied flaming matter to my sister's derriere. She quickly released my bonds, handed me her extra, but inferior, Weapon then commanded the street urchin, Safia, locomotivate adjacent to our position and conceal your corporeal self. Then the proverbial excrement encountered the multiple-bladed air circulator. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. Something fell off in Denmark. I received a response to my inquiry, and apparently, the Sedankina twins were now battling not just one powerful enemy, but another as well. And from what I could gather, their new adversaries were on the losing side. I couldn't help but smile to myself. Crossing the Sedankina twins was never a wise decision for anyone hoping for a long life. This wasn't like them, so something serious must have provoked their response. I sent them another email. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I admonished the Mossad for their attempt to train my sister. I terminated the 3 assailants as I entered the room, and we continued to exterminate others as they attempted entrance to the room. Their bodies piled by the doorway like firewood in a cord. My sister Iris stated over the din of our guns, Marinka, I am obligated to you for arriving in the time of Nick. I briefly turned my head, smiled, and returned. My sister, it was a thing of none. Then we continued our extermination activities. The street urchin declared, perhaps we should leave before we are trapped. Her words had wisdom, as Ira and I were enjoyably engaged in the elimination of the Mossad. I questioned, to where should we extricate ourselves? She replied, follow me. And we henceforth complied. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. Well, it looked like all hell broke loose in Beslan. Something happened. The school was on fire, and you could hear the report of guns everywhere. We watched in awe, and I wondered if this was another huge Mongolian cluster shit, like the Dubrovsky Theater. I couldn't wait to get the report from Sergeant Blaine on this when it was over. Shit, the old man might even give me a promotion for this one. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. Excrement. Things went from worse to unbearable. Not only did I have the situation with the Sedankina twins, now all Hades was occurring in Beslan. The school appeared to be engulfed in flame. For now the Sedankina twins would have to fend for themselves, as I had larger trout to cook. I needed to contact our operatives at the Beslan school and order them on the offensive. This never should have occurred. Someone made a huge mistake. Flashback, Ben, Beslan. The whole school shook. At first I thought the terrors detonated one of the IEDs hanging from the cable above the auditorium. The time for stealth was now gone. I jumped up, looked, and determined it wasn't an IED. Some scumsucker had fired. Oh my god, no, not that. A RPOA shemel into the roof of the school. We were thoroughly screwed. Liquid fiery napalm on the roof of the school. That skewsucker would burn through. Shit, it already has. The roof of the auditorium was already on fire, and all hell was breaking out in the auditorium. If I lived through this, I was going to find the scumsucker with the happy trigger finger and kick his butt all the way back to Moscow. I pulled up the Dragunov and began firing at the wires leading to the IEDs. The last thing I wanted was those scumsuckers going off. I had disarmed 8 of the 10 when, son of a bitch, someone from the outside shot the scumsucker that had his foot on the dead man trigger, and as he tumbled to the floor, the last 2 IEDs exploded and killed Lord only knew how many hostages. By now the roof was a flaming inferno, and the hostages were in a state of panic. I kicked out the damn window and began taking out the terrors, but it wasn't good enough. The terrors panicked and started firing into the hostages. I needed to do something now. I saw one of the scumsucker terrors below me, yelled Geronimo. I jumped out the window, landed on him, and smashed him to shit. It hurt like hell, but I ignored the pain. I positioned myself between the terrors and a group of hostages, began to move sideways, fire like hell, and yelled, everyone out the door behind me. I depleted the Dragunov ammo, threw the scumsucker at the terrors, and clocked the hell out of one of them, then whipped the AK-74 around and let it rip on fully auto as I backed towards the door. Through the doorway, I turned and ran after my group of about 20 hostages. Then I felt the first of many. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. Damn, what a mess. The school was on fire. The terrors had moved the hostages out of the auditorium and now had them standing in many of the blown-out classroom windows using them as human shields. I didn't know who the hell was in charge, if anyone was, but occasionally someone would shoot one of the hostages. I wasn't sure if it was the terrors or the Russians, but this had turned into one huge disaster. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. There would be time to mourn the dead later. We had infiltrated 3 operatives into the school. 2 were terminated by the terrors when they used their bodies as human shields for the hostages. However, one was able to extricate herself with 10 hostages, and there were reports that one brave man had secured a large group of hostages in a room, but not without being himself injured. Who was that man? Could it possibly be? Flashback, Jack, in Moscow. Son of a bitch. The TV was on, and all hell was going on in Beslan, and I was sure, knowing Ben. He was right in the middle of the whole thing. I tried to get up to help him, but I was too damn sick. Damn Masha. She was going to owe me big time. Flashback. Ben Beslin. I secured the 20-plus hostages in a room and stood guard at the doorway. By the way, Russian body armor sucks. It doesn't protect worth shit. Yeah, one of the terrors had nailed me in the back when we retreated to this room. Well, it's better getting hit in the back than in the front. You always bleed less from the back. My only hope was now to. Flashback. Jens. I was shocked. It looked like things were going very bad in Beslin. And yes, I knew my Ben was in Beslin, and knowing my Ben, I also knew he would be right in the middle of things. I watched the video of more of the school burning. Then I turned it off, crawled into my bed, and prayed for my Ben. That's all I could do except for worry. Present. Jens. Aftermath. Firefight at the cabin. I head toward the girls to take care of Zarika. Look at my watch and notice this shit has wasted so much time the whole damn day. Is almost shot. Jack realizes what I'm thinking and agrees. Yeah, you lose track of time when you're fighting a big battle. I'm worried as hell that Zarika will have bled out by now, so when I get over there I see Yasmin is doing a hell of a job putting pressure on her arm. The bandage is bloody as hell, but I'm relieved when I notice Zarika's chest moving. Yasmin looks at me and says, Jennifer lady, Zarika need big help. She need doctor. I get ready to answer when I hear a noise behind me. Don't tell me the scumsuckers are back. I turn and prepare to fire when. Present. Masha. Aftermath firefight at the cabin. I run up to Jack and Ms. Donaldson. Ms. Donaldson turns, practically fires at me when Jack grabs Ms. Donaldson's gun and yells, Jennifer, it's my wife and son. She lowers her weapon. I hand Vanya to Jack and give instructions. Jack, please take care of your son. I need to render aid to Zarika. I kneel beside the wounded Zarika and order, Yasmin, move and let me inspect her injury. She moves. I slowly loosen the blood-soaked bandage and blood spurts out. I look at Ms. Donaldson and state, Ms. Donaldson, I have called emergency services, and they are sending a helicopter to transport Zarika to the hospital. However, with the injury to her artery, time is of the essence or she will expire or at the least lose her arm. Yasmin begins wailing. I look at Jack and order, Jack, please remove Yasmin so I can concentrate on saving Zarika. Yasmin complains, no, I will not leave my Zarika. It is my duty as Ben's second wife to take her care. I demand, then Yasmin, you must be quiet so I can concentrate. I open up my field surgery kit, initiate and 4 in Zarika's uninjured arm, and Ms. Donaldson queries, Masha, can I help? I respond, yes, you can be my surgery assistant. I reach in the bag, pull out a bottle, hand it to Ms. Donaldson and command, use this to sterilize your hands. She laughs, I should have known, it's vodka. She takes off the cap, takes a drink, then sterilizes her hands. I finish the 4, look at Yasmin and order, Yasmin, stand up and hold this bag. I look at Jack and order, Jack my love, we need to move Zarika as carefully as possible into the house and place her on the kitchen table. Yasmin, you will need to hold the solution bag higher than Zarika's arm, and you also need to take Ivan's hand and bring him with us. Jack carefully picks up Zarika. Yasmin follows her orders, and Ms. Donaldson says, present. Jens, aftermath firefight at the cabin. Wow. Masha is a woman of many talents. If I understand her correctly, she's going to operate on Zarika. That's something no frickin' soccer mom would ever do. As I look over, Shark runs up and looks like he's been through hell. I question him. Well, where the hell have you been? He lays on the ground and puts his paws over his head like he's sorry. I see a flash of red behind him in the bushes and realize he's been chasing Anastasia the fox again and missed out on all the fun. We head toward the house and I scold him. You know better than to chase Anastasia. And while you were gone, we got into a big battle. He jumps up, growls a little, with Jack jostling Zarika. She wakes, sees him and giggles. Then he becomes the class clown. He raises up on his hind legs and does doggy pirouettes. Zarika continues to giggle as we enter the house. Mabel takes one look at her and says, land sakes, what happened to the child? Quick, bring her to the table and let me take care of her. Masha heads her off at the pass and says, Mabel, your help would be appreciated, but unless you are a better surgeon than myself, you would be a hindrance. Mabel exclaims, don't tell me you're going to operate on her? Here in the house and on my table? I pull Mabel to the side and whisper, Mabel, I'm not exactly sure what training Masha has had, but I do know she's sure as hell not a soccer mom, and her training has been extensive. If she doesn't do something, then Zarika will either lose her arm or die. So the best thing you can do is make sure that you do the things you do the best. Masha asks me if there is any blood available. After I respond that there is whole blood available in the refrigerator, Masha orders, Jack, please go to the refrigerator and find 4 bags of O-negative blood. Place them in tepid water until they are no longer cold. Mabel volunteers, Masha, I wondered why the hell there was blood in my refrigerator. I know right where they are, and I will do this for you. She takes off like her, but is on fire. I join Masha and again ask, what can I do to help? She gives me a serious look and says, we must sterilize ourselves again, and then it's time to begin. This time we both take a hit of the vodka before we douse our hands and Masha begins the surgery. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. Thank God. We make it to the vet's ranch and Bo's still alive. I rode on the flatbed with him to keep him calm. The damn scumsucker horse was almost as hard-headed as Ben since he kept wanting to get the hell up. But I kept my legs over him to make sure he couldn't get up. Men and male horses. You can't live with them and you sure as hell can't beat any sense into them. Why the hell won't they just listen to their women? Now that is the biggest mystery of all. The truck stops, and there are like 100 truckers trying to help. I put my fingers in my mouth and let loose with a whistle that would deafen most people and order, I know you all want to help, but let's do what the hell the vet wants. The vet gets out of the truck and orders everyone around and starts getting Bo settled in his barn. I look at a few extra men and order, well, don't just stand there and play with your pathetic penises. Get my horse Patches out of the trailer and bring her the hell into the barn. The vet comes over and offers, I have an extra room in the house that you're welcome to use. I look at him like he's crazy and say, screw that shit. I'm sleeping in the barn in the stall with Bo. Someone needs to watch him, and I'll come and get you if he has any problems during the night. Samantha walks up with her horse-shooting husband is rolling beside her and pleads, Stacy, I'd like to sleep with you in the barn. I look at her, look at the horse-shooting scumsucker and state, Stacy, you're a damn good woman, but I am finding it hard as hell to forgive your horse-shooting husband. It would have been better if he had shot me, but to shoot Ben's horse is almost unforgivable. The horse-shooting scumsucker interrupts, listen, Stacy, I'm sorry as hell about overreacting, but I was rigidly trained to react to dangerous situations, and when you tipped my chair over, that was the worst thing you could ever do to me. Now tell me what the hell I can do to fix this situation to your satisfaction. I look at him, determine he's serious, start thinking, and come up with a hell of an idea. Oh yeah, Ben would be so proud of me. Present, Linus, firefight at the Not Okay Corral. We make it to the Truth News van, but these scumsuckers are serious. Where Jim, Matt and I fired for distraction at the truck stop, these scumsuckers are wounding the truckers. I grab one of them, shake the hell out of him, and yell, what the hell are you doing? These are civilians. He spouts, like hell they are collateral damage. I'm tired of this bullshit, so I knock his butt out, look at Jim and Matt, and order, we're taking control of this squad. Then the shit really hits the fan. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas, after Eugene Onegin rehearsals. Tatiana, I still haven't learned her name, leads me through the streets of Austin to a rundown-looking dump of a place. I sure as hell don't want to go in, but knowing Russians, it's very important I don't insult her. She takes out her keys, unlocks the door, I walk inside and, what the hell? While the outside looks like a dump, it's obvious Tatiana has spent what little money she had to make this place more than comfortable. It is damn livable. She looks at me, her eyes are gleaming in anticipation, and I say, Tatiana, this place is lovely. Did you? She enthusiastically interrupts, yes, Pavel Chekhov, which I know is not your name, because that is a character in Star Trek. You really did not assume, even though I am blonde, I was that stupid. I did do all this decorating myself. So tell me, my new benefactor, what is your real name? Damn, I forgot that Russian women have an innate ability to detect bullshit. Probably because Russian men sling so damn much of it. I think for a moment, look at Tatiana, or whoever the hell she is, gulp and say, present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. Just when I think we might get the hell out of Dodge with our skins intact. A Jeep drives up with a Mod Deuce, slang for the 50 caliber Browning machine gun, mounted on the back a la Rat Patrol. I look at Byron, and he declares, Master Key. Yeah, that's the key for this problem, so we all start firing the 12-gauge taser shells at the Jeep. And thank God this time they really work. I'm shocked when the Jeep actually. Flashback, Ben Beslin. Yeah, I was more than screwed. I had been hit in the back. By the way, Russian body armor doesn't work worth shit. It didn't stop the round and made things worse by peppering the wound with ceramic fragments. I had depleted the Dragunov ammo and one mag of the AK-74 ammo. So I was down to 60 rounds of ammo in a war that should have required, well, a lot more. I only had one hope, and that would require. We only have our honor, and today was a good day to die. Flashback, Jack, in Moscow. I was aware of the TV somewhat. It was in Russian, but it looked like, screw me. It looked like all hell was breaking loose in Beslin. Oh hell no. Ben was there. I tried to call the nurse, but, flashback, Masha, in Moscow. I was torn like inexpensive fabric in a hurricane. I should take care of the issues with the Sedenkina twins. However, it appeared that Jack's partner, Ben, had many problems in Beslin. I directed the one last operative to help him, and I completed some very serious prayers. Then I began to work on the Sedankina issues. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I oculated my sister whom I had saved. We acquired Safia's hand and sprinted toward the posterior door. Yes, Safia was correct. We must depart this torture center, post-haste, before extrication was no longer an option. The Mossad sons of a female Saluki would be swarming over this location like Hymenoptera from a destroyed hive, and our extrication was of primary importance. Retribution would occur when time permitted. And trust me, retribution would occur many times over. No one attempted the corporeal insult of my sister without acquiring an exorbitant personal debt. We acquired the streets and Safia directed us through an exhaustive number of byways until I was totally confused and confounded. We finally entered a flea-infested domicile which I would not even wish upon Kostia. I questioned, Safia, is this where we are to locate for safety? She replied, yes, my friend, this is the best housing I have. I made my sister Ira as comfortable as possible and contemplated how many baths it would take to rid myself of the vermin here, but especially the vermin at our last encounter. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. Holy shit. What the hell was going on in Beslan? It looked like it was WWI. The school was on fire. There were multiple reports of gunshots, and where the hell was Sergeant Blaine? I bugged the hell out of the translator, but he was less than worthless. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. I was still not sure what happened with the Sedankinas, other than they were fine and the Mossad were not. In fact, the Mossad had suffered serious losses at the hands of my twins. I had many messages from the Mossad that questioned my control of the girls. I was upset and decided to fight fire with immolation. I sent a scathing email to the Mossad and directly confronted them. I then turned my attention on Beslan and my one surviving operative. I questioned if she could tell me who the mystery man was. Then I waited anxiously for the response and continually worried about my Jack. Flashback, Ben Beslan. The scumsuckers kept trying to breach the perimeter to this room, attempting to get to the hostages I'd saved. I kept holding them at bay, but the ammo supply was limited and soon would be depleted. I racked my brain. What the hell would Jack do in this situation? After all, he was my mentor and he always had an answer for every situation, even a situation as dire as this one. Ah yes, there was one overwhelming issue, and that controlled all action. I needed to follow that solution. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. I had accomplished all I could do with the Sedankina twins, and I had all available resources headed toward them to assist. Now I must see to my only love Jack. Oh, how I worried because he had been under the influence of the narcotic for a prolonged time, and I left directions with my subordinates to inform me if there were more issues with the girls, and then took a taxi to the hospital where my one true love was interned. I needed to apply the antidote post-haste, and then I would pay whatever price my love required. Unfortunately, it was a necessary evil which I visited upon him. The taxi arrived at the hospital and... Flashback, Jack, in Moscow. Masha finally arrived at the hospital, and I watched her in the corridor as she donned the isolation gear, which seemed to take forever. She then came into my room, took a vial out of her purse, mixed some drops of fluid in my water, and ordered, Jack, my only love, please drink this. I was in no mind to follow her orders and argued, I've had my fill of drinking whatever the hell you give me. You drink it first, and then, if you don't get sick, I might drink it. She gives me a look that I sure as hell didn't understand, and then she drinks the water, pulls out the bottle, prepares another dose while promising, Jack, if you love me you will drink this and get well. I watch her like a hawk eyeing a rabbit, but she sure as hell doesn't look any worse for the wear. Then I decide what the hell, I'm already too sick to die, so I drink her concoction. Almost immediately. Flashback, Jens. I have more information than I ever hoped. I guess there are more perverts in the world than I ever dreamed. I sift through all the chaff, find the information I'm interested in from the stupid pain in the rear major, and I can't believe it, Ben's been. Oh my god, I need to pray for him. Flashback, Ben Beslan. Yeah, the time has come for me to do what I need to do. I looked at the many hostages I've saved. It's grown since we've escaped the auditorium and is now almost 40. And ordered, we cannot survive here. It's time for us to try to escape the building. I will provide cover fire while you leave down the hallway, and then I will follow you. The hostages understood. Shit, they've been through hell and back already, and I knew my hell is still coming. They get ready. I opened the door, jumped into the hallway, and began to fire as they ran down the hallway behind me to safety. I depleted the first mag of the AK-74, reloaded, depleted the last mag of the AK-74, and threw the rifle at the terrors, then turned and ran after the hostages. You know, the second bullet that entered your body wasn't nearly as painful as the first, and the third or fourth or, well, say la guerre. The last shot spun me around. Then there was this bright flash. Yes, today was flashback, Masha, in Moscow. My mobile phone alerted me. I checked it, and it appeared my operative in Beslan has secured Ben. However, he is severely injured. I ordered her to perform whatever functions required. And I did not inform my Jack while I performed even more prayers under my breath. Present, Jens, Zarika's surgery. I still can't believe it. We, Masha and I, are operating on Zarika, who is laying on my kitchen table. Masha looks at me, pulls out a hypodermic needle, inserts it into the port on the fore and advises, "This will make Zarika fall asleep, so we can repair her arm." Masha continues, "Ms. Donaldson, please monitor her vital signs." I check her blood pressure, pulse, and respond. Masha, her vital signs are normal. Mabel brings the warm blood over. Masha setups up the fore and makes sure I know how to change the bags. And then Masha begins the surgery. Present, Byron, Tom, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. We fire the 12-gauge Zrep taser shells at the damn Jeep with the 50 on the back and son of a gun. The shells do more than expected. Yeah, they stop the Jeep and somehow even set it on fire. Tom looks at me, smiles, and declares, "I love it when a plan comes together. Now let's get these scumsuckers." We jump up and finally go on the offensive. Yeah, it's time to kick butt and take names. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim, firefight at the Not Okay Corral. I couldn't stand these scumsuckers hurting Civis, even if the Civis were trying to kill us. I knock the scumsucker out, take his weapon, and then the three of us are not only fighting the truckers, we're fighting whomever this Truth Network team is. I grab the scumsucker I knocked out, hold him up as a shield and taunt, "Fire. All you want, scumsuckers. This is your own man." I notice them hesitate and know I have their butts, so I order, "Now, you're going to stop shooting the civilians. We're all getting in your van and getting the hell out of here, or your buddy takes one to the head." They comply, and we get the hell out of Dodge before we get into more trouble than we already experienced. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. I relent and let Samantha and her damn horse-shooting husband stay in Bo's stall with me. But I'm sure as hell not happy about it. Samantha is fine, but you all know my feeling toward her scumsucker husband. Then I get a hell of an idea and decide to turn the tables on Samantha. I look at her and begin to question. Present, Yasmin, Zarika's surgery. I cannot believe it. The Masha lady has put Zarika to sleep, and now she is. It is almost too gruesome to believe. She has made Zarika's injury larger. Blood is flowing everywhere, and the lady is busy trying to connect two pieces that look like tubes to each other. She is ordering the Jennifer lady around like she is a queen boss, and the Jennifer lady, surprisingly, is not upset. I turn away because this is most terrible. It is even worse than the first time when I started my monthly bleeds. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas, after Eugene Onegin rehearsals. Yeah, this Tatiana is much smarter than my Tatiana in Russia. She knows that Pavel Chekhov was from Star Trek and somehow even figured out I was their new benefactor. I gulped and said, "Well, my passport says I am Erast Petrovich Fandrin." She gives me a funny look and says, "Pavel or Erast, it doesn't matter. What does matter is you're my knight in shining armor, and now you can claim your prize." She starts to strip as I begin to pull gear from my bag and update my tactical vest. She gives me a funny look, puts her hands on her hips and questions, "Pavel Erast, a combination of Pavel and Erast. Where are you going?" I reply, "Tatiana." She corrects, "Pavel Erast, my name is Margarita, but all my lovers like you call me Rita." I continue, "Margarita, I have some things to do tonight." Spreading her arms, she questions, "Are they more important than this?" She shows me virtually everything. I turn and say, "Unfortunately, Margarita, they are." I finish loading up my tactical vest and sprint out the door before. Present, Jens, Zarika's surgery. I watch Masha in amazement. I am humbled by this incredible woman. Her hands fly over Zarika, and she orders all of us around like a conductor conducting an orchestra. I continue to make sure Zarika's arm is clear of blood. Her vital signs are stable, and the blood in the fore continues to flow as Masha connects the two pieces of artery together and with the most incredible fingers, stitches them together. The worst is over. I look at Masha and stupidly ask, "Are you going to close the wound?" She replies, "No, Ms. Donaldson. We will pack it and leave it open for the doctors at the hospital so they will be able to verify the quality of my efforts." I question, "Masha, how many times have you done this?" She looks at me and states, "Ms. Donaldson, while I have studied this, I have never performed this procedure previously. If someone smoked, I would certainly like a cigarette. No one smokes, so instead I hand her the bottle of vodka. She removes the top, takes a big swig, then passes it around. I look at Jack, he looks at me, and we both begin laughing. Present, Yasmin, Zarika's surgery. I need to know, so I ask, "Kind doctor lady, will Zarika not arm lose and live?" The doctor lady looks at me and says, "Yes, young one. Zarika will probably live and not lose her arm. However, she will need much care while she recovers. I promise, Dr. Lady and Jennifer Lady, I will take care best of her more than anyone. The front door opens and much noise happens which bothers my Zarika. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. We kick their butts and have them stepping and fetching like their heads are on fire and their butts are catching. But I know better than to get too cocky. I look at Byron and Inga and order, we need to get the hell out of here before reinforcements arrive. Inga sputters, but the mission. Byron much more nicely than I states. Inga, the mission and your team are gone. All we can do now is survive to fight another day. He grabs her hand, and we hightail it away from the compound. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas, after Eugene Onegin rehearsals. I barely make it out of Margarita's apartment without being assaulted. That woman has a one-track mind, and that track was centered on me. I hit the street and hail a cab because I have a mission to accomplish tonight. And my mission sure as hell doesn't include Margarita. Damn women. You can't live with them and you can't trade them for a good dog. Present, Jens, post-op. The front door opens, and it sounds like a herd of cattle entering the cabin. I hear the typical male bravado. We kick their butt. And, okay, we kick their bloody butts. I meet them at my doorway and declare, do you all mind? The Scottish guy mouths off, on near min for a swite young lassie lock ye. I get ready to deck his, but when Jack comes up and says, look you scum-suckers, my wife just performed surgery on one of the girls, so if you could muzzle your damn mouths we'd all appreciate it. Mabel comes up, shakes her spoon at all of them and adds, and if any of you expect to eat in my kitchen, then you'd better listen to this man. I wasn't sure if it was Jack or Mabel, but one of them put the fear of God, or Mabel's spoon, in them. They all gather around the table and solemnly look at Zarika. Masha takes one look at all of them and says, look, she isn't dead, yet so stop looking at her like she is a corpse and go make sure there's a place for the helicopter that's arriving. I almost laugh as they all stumble over each other to get back out the door. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. Yeah, it's my turn to be the reporter. I question Samantha. Sam, just how did you meet your husband? She goes into this long story about the battle in Germany, and I'm impressed as hell with her. But still I can't help but feel that she's too damn good for the horse-shooting scumsucker. Flashback, Ben Beslin. I was outside the school, and someone was dragging me while they were being fired upon. I tried to rise to help, but, son of a bitch, my legs didn't work. They somehow got me away from harm's way, and then it seemed like I was surrounded by a million yelling Russians. For a moment, I thought they were going to finish the job the terror started. I couldn't see, but I heard Yuri, and he scolded me. Ben, you must have a death wish. I hoarsely questioned my hostages. He answered, all are safe, my crazy American friend. I laughed. At least I'm not a crazy Ivan. Then, as it all came crashing down, I slowly. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. A report came in from the school that one brave soldier infiltrated the school and saved a large group of hostages, but was seriously injured. They showed his picture as he was taken away by helicopter, and I swore it was Sergeant Blaine. What the hell? He wasn't supposed to be in direct action. If it was him, then this automatically became an international incident, and I was seriously screwed. I sent a scathing email to Sergeant Reynolds which demanded that he immediately tell me what the hell was going on. Yeah, the old man would have my, but if this was an international incident. Flashback, Jack, in Moscow. After drinking the new shit that Masha gave me, I immediately started to feel better. With the hell that was going on in Beslin, I questioned, Masha, can you tell me what's going on? She looked at me, got a tear in her eye, and quietly informed me, Jack, from the reports I have received, your partner Ben has been severely wounded. What the hell? I could tell there was more, so I sat upright in bed and ordered, Masha, you'd better tell me everything. She shook her head as she continued, Jack, he was shot many times rescuing a large number of hostages. They are airlifting him to the nearest trauma hospital, but from what I understand, he might not survive. I jumped out of bed, which attracted the nurses and demanded, I need to get to Ben immediately, and then I need a computer. But then I ran into a thing about hospitals and doctors. If they didn't know what you had and were treating you as being quarantined, then they weren't inclined to let you walk right out the door. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. My Jack was a man on a mission, and I had to provide interference for him. He tried to leave the hospital, and of course they wouldn't let him because they were concerned he would infect all of Moscow. I had some confidential conversations with the nurses and doctors while Jack was busy getting dressed. However, I did sneak some looks at his wonderful body as he dressed. As I finally convinced them to let Jack leave, he was dressed, he grabbed my hand and questioned, where the hell are they taking Ben? I stopped in the hallway and answered, Jack, I might be able to call someone and find out. He ordered, well, Masha, call them because I need to get to wherever the hell he is. I pulled out my cell phone and started to make some calls when Jack's phone rang. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I was tired of waiting for secondhand information, so I grabbed the bull by the horns and called Sergeant Reynolds directly. Thank God, he answered the phone on the third ring. I demanded, I thought the hell you were sick, so why are you now answering your phone? He responded, I am, or was, but with Ben being wounded, I need to get but to where he's being taken. Shit, then it was true. Sergeant Blaine was wounded, and I was up shit creek without a paddle. My warped mind came up with a possible idea to save but then ordered, well, you make sure you keep me in the loop this time. Then I hung up the phone and began to work my plan for developing a scapegoat. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. I could tell it was Jack's superior on the phone, the major. He gave Jack a majorly bad time, and I realized this was another problem which required that I provide a solution. I held Jack's hand and promised, Jack, we will get you to where they are taking Ben, and we will also take care of your major. We exited the hospital, hailed a taxi, and proceeded to the airport. I accessed my phone and called to see if there was any more news of the Sedankina twins. I also called and had my compatriot prepare plane tickets for us, and even contacted my acquaintance in Beslan, who just happened to be a nurse and was on the flight with Ben. I did not care for the information she relayed to me. Flashback, Ira and Mira, in Israel. My sister and the street urchin had saved my life, well, at least my honor. I would be in debt to both of them. However, the location which we abode was not comfortable. I looked at my sister and suggested, Mira, perhaps we could procure a better domicile? Mira replied, Irinka, for now it is advisable to rest. The street urchin added, yes, the streets are swarming with many Israeli troops. It would not be wise to join them. I tried to make myself more comfortable, but knew the task was beyond my means. My sister Ira considers this place less appropriate than even I. I traversed to the window, stealthily oculated the surroundings, and determined that Safia was correct. There were a plethora of troops clogging the streets. I questioned, Safia, what is to keep the troops from entering this building? She responded, well, they have not in the past. I did not like the answer, so I prepared our weapons. Flashback, Jens. Yes. From Ben's major's computer, I retrieved a document that he worked on. I cried a little because Ben had not only been wounded when he wasn't supposed to be in combat, the major planned to. No, not only could I not believe it, I had to stop it. Flashback, Masha, in Moscow. Jack read my face like a book and questioned, Masha, what is wrong? I couldn't lie to Jack and replied, my love, I talked to a nurse that is a friend of mine who is with your Ben. He is not expected to survive. I watched as determination crossed his face, and he declared, Ben is a Marine, and it takes more than a few gunshots to kill a Marine. Can't this damn taxi go any faster? Alas, Moscow traffic is terrible. We arrived at Domodedovo Airport, were met at the curb with the tickets, rushed in, and caught our flight, even though I was certain we would be too late. Present, Jens, post-op. My phone rings, I look at it, and answer, Maria, we picked a hell of a time for you to go find Linus. She replies, Jens, what the hell is wrong? I step outside in the midst of the crowd and reply, we just had a hell of a firefight, and almost had our butts handed to us. Maria complains, damn, I guess I missed all the fun. So who the hell was it that attacked you? I respond, I have no idea who it was. I was busy helping Masha operate on Zarica. Someone shouts, I know who the hell it was. It was a narcotic cartel hit squad from Colombia. I could tell by their tats. Suddenly, everything clicks into place. Megan was working for the Colombian narcotic cartel, and she had them. I stamp my foot and yell, that bitch. Maria replies, Jens, what the hell? Zarica was wounded and Masha operated? I'm too highly pissed off to answer, so instead I swear, that Megan bitch is going to rue the day she ever messed with me. I'm going to stick my foot so far up her, but that she's going to taste shoe leather for the rest of her life. Present, Maria, trying to find Linus. Shit. If it's not one thing, it's another. Here I am in Texas trying to find out about Linus, and Jens gets attacked, figures out Megan was behind the attack, and now is throwing a tantrum. I decide to try something different, so I question, Jens, if you calm down, I will relay some good news. I hear some muttering under her breath until she finally says, well, I could sure as hell use some good news. So I proceed to lie through my teeth to my princess boss. Jens, I have a great lead on where Linus and the guys are. I also heard they are hot on Ben's trail. My lie has the desired calming effect on Jens, and she says, Maria, I could almost kiss you. I again question, you mentioned Zarica was wounded and Masha operated. I didn't know she could do that, did you? Jens continues in a subdued mood and tells me all about the surgery. And I thought I had good field surgery skills. Present, Mira, Ira, Alexei, and Todd, post-firefight. I survey Alexei to notate when he will discover the fourth member of our party. After an exceptionally great length of time, he finally acknowledges the presence, turns and questions, how long has the man named Todd been following us? I tousle his hair and respond, for much too long, my brother. You must learn to control your emotions and enhance your observation skills. Irinka taunts. That is like the pot calling the marijuana dope. Alexei sighs and corrects her. Ira, you mean the pot calling the kettle black. When will you bother to learn the correct euphemisms for America? I catch the twinkle in Irinka's eyes as she winks at me. Yes, occasionally this is a little game we enjoy pursuing with Alexei. Todd arrives beside us and signs, "Greetings, angels of death. Am I to assume this is your brother? If so, what is the name of your team now?" I oculate Ira. She returns my oculation, and we are both confounded because we had never previously considered this issue. Alexei assumes responsibility and responds, "Mr. Todd, we are now called the Death Squad. But what, pray tell, is your nickname?" Todd expressively signs. "Some like to call me Silent, but deadly." Alexei gleefully emits a mirthful laughter. I consider Ira. She glances at me and then questions, "Alexei, what is so mirthful?" He gives us an astounded look and then explains, "Silent but deadly is an euphemism for an excruciatingly noxious flatulence, which is produced silently." Ira and I comprehend the joke and giggle gleefully. Alexei continues his questions. "Mr. Todd, I am fascinated by your bow. Why do you prefer that device over a more conventional weapon?" Todd signs, "My little one, since you have not yet figured it out, I prefer stealth to noise. That was evident when I could slip up on you, but not on your sisters. So for me the bow is the perfect weapon of choice, just as many times your sisters prefer to use their katanas." I defend Alexei. "Todd, this was Alexei's first battle, and subsequently his adrenal glands were overproducing. And besides, you are the master of stealth, and even we barely detected you." Alexei pleads, "Mr. Todd, would it be possible at some time in the future for you to provide me instruction in the proper use of the bow?" We arrive at the cabin as Todd signs, "It would be my pleasure, and we can start training tomorrow." I oculate Ms. Donaldson's rapid approach and postulate. With the tempestuous expression on her face, I think the excrement my sister finishes is going to impact the circular air distribution device. Present, Liz, post-firefight. The minute firing started, I took off for the cabin with Bernie. The last thing I wanted, after I had finally got my man, was to lose him. Truth be told, we are both much better lovers than fighters. And speak of the devil, that was what we just finished doing. We return outside, and I see Jens heading toward the twins like a runaway locomotive. She's being followed by everyone else. I kiss Bernie and say, "I need to go take care of this." I run up just as Jens confronts them. "Why in the hell didn't you warn us about the attack?" Ira responds, "Ms. Donaldson, the sharing of intelligence is not our primary duty." She looks at Alexei and directs, "Alexei, please inform Ms. Donaldson of our primary duties on this mission." Alexei recites, "My primary duty was Ivan's safety, and because of my Myra's indelicate situation, her primary duty was Ms. Morgan's safety." Mira interrupts, "And when Ms. Morgan and Bernie departed haste of post for the cabin, that changed my duty too." Ira continues, "My duty, which was to outflank the attackers. However, we must apologize. Our intelligence was insufficient, and someone will pay an exorbitant fee for the oversight. We were informed there would only be 10 attackers, but instead there were close to 100. Alexei added, "And once Ivan was verified safe by Ms. Reynolds, that released me to join both my sisters in battle." Listening to these three talk is like being on a carousel. Jens gets ready to say something, probably the wrong thing, and I interrupt. "What the hell is Myra's indelicate situation?" Mira blushes, looks down and responds, "Yes, it is true. I am with child." That takes the wind out of Jens' sails, and everyone starts congratulating Mira. We hear, "Who's the lucky guy?" Then, "When are you due?" Hammer laughs and taunts, I'd fancy trying to ride the other twin." This sets Ira off. She lunges at Hammer. Mira and Alexei restrain her as she glares at him and threatens in her best Scottish impression, "The day ye ride me is the day the Highlands turn to dust." We start to laugh until we hear an approaching chopper, which puts everyone on edge until Masha and Jack leave the cabin with Zarika on a litter. Yasmin is walking right beside them carrying the 4 bags and holding Ivan's hand. The chopper lands. We form 2 lines as Masha and Jack carry the litter between us, and all wish Zarika a quick recovery. The flight nurse runs over, looks at Zarika's repaired arm and questions, "Who performed the surgery?" Masha answers, "I did." She looks at Masha and requests, "If you don't mind, I'd like for you to accompany us to the hospital." That riles Jack up and he argues, "Look, my wife was performing a medically necessary procedure to save this young girl, so she'd better not be in trouble." The flight nurse backpedals quickly. "Oh no, she's not in trouble. It's just having someone with her skills along for the ride would make me feel better. Besides, we can use the trip for her to detail what procedures have been done, and that will save time at the hospital." Masha defuses the situation. "Jacket will be fine, and I will return home tomorrow." Zarika is loaded into the chopper, Masha, and even Yasmin hop in, and the chopper is gone. Ivan waves and says, "Gopper, take mama." Jack says, "Don't worry, son. She will be back tomorrow." He looks around and adds, "Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm hungry as hell." We get ready to head inside. Hear something going on and are suddenly certain it's going to be a long time before we get any food. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. Perhaps going on the offensive wasn't the wisest move. We get caught between targets and are caught in opposing fields of fire. Well, Tom's plan just went further south than Inga's plan. Once again, it's up to the Marine to save the day. I grab a couple items out of my pack, pull the pins on both of them, throw them, and yell, "Frag out." They take out one of the emplacements. Then I pull 2 smoke canisters out of my pack, pull the pins, and throw one short the other long on our new escape route. I yell, "Follow me, and try not to get shot." Tom smart mouths, "I thought that was your job." Yeah, someday his luck is going to run out and his tongue is going to get run over by a truck. We run around a corner, and I wonder if today is that day. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim, firefight at the Not Okay Corral. We're getting the hell out of Dodge in the Truth News Team van, and everyone is glaring at me as I still hold one of the news team hostage. Then the obvious leader orders, "Okay guys, Linus is right. We need to stand down." I look at him and declare, "You have me at a disadvantage. You know my name, and I don't know yours." He holds out his hand and answers, "Emmanuel, ex-IDF Mossad." I shake his and reply, "Linus, ex-Navy SEAL." He laughs, "I heard you scumsuckers were tough, but you easily took one of my team by surprise." I relax and apologize, "Sorry about that." Then all hell again breaks loose. Present, Maria, behind the Truth News Team van. I finally catch up to the Truth News van just to see it swerving like some drunk as hell scumsucker was driving it. What the hell is going on inside that van? Present, Stacy, at the vets. Samantha tells me this great story about how she met her damn horse-shooting husband, and it makes me miss the hell out of Ben. I look at her as she snuggles with him and wish like hell Ben would have done that with me. I turn away, lay my head on Bo's chest and say, "I don't know about you two, but I'm going to sleep." But I don't really sleep. Instead, I cry and wish for something that never happened. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Night moves. I hop a cab and have them drop me off close, but not too close, to the address I need. Then I use all my recon skills to slip up on the house. And what a house it is. Yeah, it's a damn mansion. I pull out my night vision scope, mount it on the front rail of my .300 Blackout, and scan the area. Just as I expected, armed guards and surveillance. I double-check that my brass catcher and suppressor are in place, then take the first silent shot. My first rounds take out the security cameras. Then, even though I figure they have a backup generator, I take out the power transformers. The mansion compound plunges into darkness. I jump up, vault over the wall, and begin to work on the security guards. By the time the generator kicks in, I've already breached the house. Now the mission is to clear each room, one room at a time, making sure to pie the doorways, using my suppressed sidearm as needed, and making sure not to get careless. I open one door and can't even believe what I see. Death is too good for this scumsucker. Tatiana, Masha's flight nurse, in flight. We had inserted in 4 in each arm as we tried to provide more blood than Ben was expelling, but it was a losing battle. I looked at the flight surgeon and stated, "We need to do something since his blood pressure is still falling." He ordered, even though we should not attempt it, turn him over in a single motion so we can view his back. We unstrapped our patient from the backboard, turned him in one motion, and it was obvious why we were losing the battle of the blood. There was more blood pooling there than I had ever seen in my life. The flight surgeon cut the straps on his body armor, peeled it off him, and we saw not only bullet holes, we saw many shards of ceramic body armor which had pierced his body. I also noticed many very old scars that I had seen before on victims of caning. I made a mental note to attempt to determine where and when he was caned. The flight surgeon ordered, "Remove the shards so we can put compression dressings on the wounds. Otherwise, we will never slow this bleeding." I began to remove the shards. They were very sharp, sharper than a scalpel, and I cut my fingers frequently. However, I would not stop. My phone rang. I knew from the ring it was Masha, but I could not stop to answer. Flashback, Masha, in fight. I tried to call Tatiana, however she did not answer. Then the flight attendant came up to me and rudely ordered, "You are not to operate cell phones on this aircraft." I wanted to give her a dose of the syrup I gave Jack, but decided it might only accomplish getting Jack in more trouble. I held Jack's hand and questioned, "How do you feel?" He grinned at me and declared, "I'm all fine, but I'm hungry as hell. Do we get any food on this flight?" I shook my head and answered, "Jack, if we did get food on this flight, you would be even more sick if you ate it." He could not stay still in his seat. I debated giving him more of the sleeping syrup, but I didn't think I could carry his mass off the airplane by myself. I attempted to comfort him, "Jack, my love, we will be there soon, and I promise you once we find Ben, I will procure something for you to eat. Then I wondered how I would keep this promise because the hospital food in Russia was not that much better than airplane food. Tatiana, Masha's flight nurse, in flight. We developed a system to treat the wounds. I would remove the shards, and the flight surgeon was right behind me and applied compression bandages. Time was of the essence because we needed to turn him onto his back for the bandages to function. We were complete with the upper part of the back, had just a few more to go. I took out one shard, and no. I caught the flight doctor's eyes and gave him a questioning look. I could tell he saw it too, and the look in his eyes told me this was much worse than expected. But still we would not give up. This brave man sacrificed his body to save almost 50 hostages. We removed the last of the shards, carefully turned him onto his back, and I silently prayed that God would help him because survival was in his hands now. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I finished my report and was damn proud of myself. I determined I could let all the blame for this fall on Sergeant Reynolds' shoulders and I would get off scot-free. I closed the report, and then, what the hell? The damn report totally disappeared off my hard drive. I searched for it and realized my computer hadn't been running correctly since I downloaded that damn fake picture of Britney Spears. That was one sick joke. When I fired up my computer virus checker, my whole damn screen went blank. Then I read, what the hell happened to my computer? Flashback, Jens. There was no way in heck I was going to let Ben's nasty Major blame Ben's second best friend. I was his first, but he didn't know it yet. Jack for something that was obviously his frickin' fault. Yes, if he had not sent my Ben there in the first place, Ben would not have been hurt. So I waited until his report was done, and then I simply deleted the file. What the heck was he doing now? Oh goody. He ran his virus checker, and that meant his computer would crash, and he would see, mess with the best. Die like the rest perv. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. My pet sergeant came into my office and stated, Sir, I think you need to come and see this. I complained, God, can things get any worse in Russia? He responded, Sir, this isn't about Russia. I walked into the control room and all the screens said the same damn thing my computer did. Mess with the best. Die like the rest perv. Shit, that damn virus followed all the network connections and we were dead in the water at a time when we needed intel the most. The phone rang in my office. I gave momentary thanks to God that phone still worked until I looked and saw it was the old man. Please don't tell me. Flashback, Masha, landed. We landed and Jack went crazy. He jumped out of his seat and began to push the people out of his way to get off the plane. But if there's one thing you learn in Russia, it is to patiently stand in line and wait your turn. When he knocked one man down, the man jumped up, swore at him in Russian, then made the mistake of trying to punch Jack. Jack ducked the punch, then flattened the man. Everyone saw it, so they quickly moved out of the way. We ran to the front of the plane, headed down the steps, and at the bottom, I saw two men in dark coats waiting for us. I whispered in Jack's ear, Jack, my love, those two men are FSB. Be very careful. We reached the bottom of the stairs. They showed their badges, and one ordered, we need both of you to follow us. We heard you caused a disturbance on the plane. I knew I needed to do something quickly, so I stated, this man is American and is the partner of the American that was wounded at Beslan. The other agent questioned, the one that saved many hostages? I replied, yes, this man is part of that team, but he was sick in Moscow, or he would have been here too. They conferred for a minute while Jack fidgeted. Finally, the first one looked at us and stated, we will take you to the hospital where this other American is located. We know he died several times on the flight, but was resuscitated. They give him less than a 10% chance to live. We dashed toward their waiting Volga, make of Russian automobiles that were traditionally used as taxi cabs and police interceptors. Flashback, Ben Junior High School. I hated school. Once again, the other kids conspired against me to get me in trouble, and once again, I got my butt whipped. The principal never would listen to my side of the story since he automatically assumed that every time I entered his office I was guilty. This was America? Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? I lay on my bed that night and started to think. There had to be something I could do to get back at the school. It had to be something big that would close the school for weeks, if not forever. I couldn't come up with anything. I got up the next morning, was eating breakfast, and Dad cackled at me. Hey shitadrella, sort of like Cinderella, go burn the trash. And I don't want you blowing anything up this time. Yeah, this was back when we still burnt trash, and I loved to burn the trash. I jumped up from the table to run outside, and he cackled again. Shitadrella, don't forget our dishes. I put the dishes in the sink and said, I will wash them after I finish burning the trash. I grabbed the matches, ran outside to the trash can, struck a match, and threw it in the fire until it was going good. Then I ran and got all the old aerosol cans I'd been saving, threw them in the fire, and moved away. It wasn't long until they blew the hell up, throwing trash and metal everywhere. Dad ran out on the porch with his gun and yelled, where's the war? I lied, sorry, I guess I missed some of the aerosol cans again. He cussed me up one side and down the other, but it was worth it, even though I knew I'd get beat for it. Hey, this gave me a great idea. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I picked up the phone and the old man yelled, "What the hell is wrong with all the damn computers?" I answered, "Sir, it appears we were compromised by a targeted attack." He swore, "Damn it, I want them fixed yesterday. Get the FBI, NSA, and whichever else damn three-letter branch of the government working on this yesterday." I replied, "Yes, sir. I will make sure we are up again as fast as possible, and we will coordinate with whomever to make sure the perpetrator of this heinous act is caught." He slammed the phone down, and I heaved a sigh of relief. The one good thing about this attack was the old man's thoughts weren't on Russia. Flashback, Masha, in hospital. We made it to the hospital in record time. The FSB agents took us to the waiting room outside surgery, where I was surprised to see Tatiana. I noticed her hands looked like a mummy's hands. They were covered with so many bandages. I told Jack, "This is my friend Tatiana who was on the flight with Ben. Wait here, and I will determine his condition." Jack complained, "Like hell I'll wait. I may not speak Russian, but I do read people pretty damn well, so I want to be with you when you talk to her." Luckily, he said it loud enough Tatiana heard. Then I caught her eyes and knew she understood. We walked over and I questioned, "Tatiana, what happened to your hands?" Jack watched us like a hawk as she told me how the body armor had shattered and cut Ben's back in hundreds of places and how she damaged her hands removing the shards. I verified the information the FSB gave us, even though I was sure it was correct. She did add some facts to which the FSB was not privy. Very troubling facts. So far we had deceived Jack, but the time was coming that we had to pay the flautist. I was not looking forward to my next conversation with Jack. I pulled him to the side, while I noticed that Tatiana was more upset than I expected about this. Flashback, Jack, in hospital. Masha pulled me to the side and asked, "Jack, please come sit beside me." I didn't like the sound of her voice, but I sat beside her and replied, "Look, Masha, tell me what the hell is going on." The more she told me, the sicker I felt. Shit, I should have been there for Ben, and I really let him down. I looked at her and asked, "Is he going to make it?" She hugged me and answered, "Jack, they are only giving him a 10% chance to live." I pulled away, looked closely at her eyes, and asked the next question, "Masha, I can tell you're not telling me everything, so spill it." I watched her face as tears slowly came out of the corners of each eye, and she told me everything, and I was floored. I was still figuring out what to do when there was a hell of a hullabaloo in the waiting room, and some doctors ran through. I looked at Masha and asked, "Don't tell me Ben's gone." Flashback, Ira and Mira, in Israel. The lights extinguished in the building, and when the lights departed, the rats exited their shelter to run amok. I quickly checked and determined there were no lights in the entire area. This was unendurable. I arose and ordered, "Mira, apply your equipment. We are departing." There are two situations which we do not tolerate: darkness we cannot control and the presence of rats. It is probably a learned response because Kostia detained us in many dark, rat-infested rooms. I agreed with Ira. Yes, we must depart now. Safia, now you must use your best street skills to help us locate a safer domicile. As we began to leave, my email chimed. I checked it and declared, "Sister, we have the coordinates of a new house of safety." I recited the coordinates to Safia, and we slowly slipped into the darkened night. Present, Jens, post-op, post-firefight. We are just getting ready to go into the cabin and eat. Yeah, I know we should take care of the dead first, but screw them. They attacked us when we hear the sirens. I look at Jack, he looks at me and orders, "Okay, anyone that has a possibly illegal weapon needs to ditch it." And since most of us have possibly illegal weapons, many of the men start to complain. I nip that bullshit in the bud and say, "Put your weapons on the ground, and we will take them to a safe place. They will be returned later." They set them on the ground. I look at Jack and whine, "I sure could use some help moving these." He hands Ivan to Liz and picks up more than half of them. Present, Jack, post-firefight. I pick up a shitload of illegal weapons, head into the house with Jennifer and question, "Isn't it, but backwards bringing these into the cabin?" She laughs and replies, "Jack, I am about to blow your mind. When I had this cabin rebuilt after the terror attack, I added a few extra features." We run into the basement. Jens pulls aside a bookcase, presses a few buttons, and I jump back when a hidden door opens. Lights come on, and I see a downward sloping underground tunnel. Jennifer laughs and declares, "Welcome to Wonderland, Alice." We walk inside, and it reminds me of an ICBM missile silo, only updated and not as nasty. Jennifer runs down the hallway, while I have a hard time keeping up with her. We pass a bunch of doors. Finally, she stops in front of a vault door and explains, "This is the weapon room. Watch as I open the combination lock, because I'm not showing you twice." As she twists the hell out of the dial, I am able to get the numbers over her shoulder. Then she presses her right index finger on a touchpad, and the door swings open. We walk into a room. And oh my God, if these are all Ben's weapons, then he had well over 2 or 3 times as many as I ever dreamed. There were weapons here that, being a Marine, I want to touch them all, but Jennifer interrupts my ogling when she orders, Jack, drop the weapons in a pile on the floor, and we will return for them later. We need to get back to the sheriff. I oblige. We head out the door, run down the corridor, and walk outside where present, Liz, post love making post whatever. Jens and Jack are gone as the sheriff's cars and one other black vehicle pull up. They begin to get out of their cars and walk toward us. I decide that since Jens isn't here, I will intercept them. I walk toward them as Ivan says, I see man bad. I fight back a giggle, out of the mouth of Babes. He points, and I notice the man from the black vehicle as he walks towards us. The man approaches me, flashes a badge, and says, Ma'am, I'm Special Agent Hotchner of the FBI. We had a report of multiple sounds of gunfire here today, and we would like to know what happened. They could clearly see the dead bodies and the hundreds of shell casings on the ground, so I'm sure they suspected there was a battle. I start to say something when Bernie walks up, extends his hand to shake, and says, Sorry S.A. Hotchner, but my fiancé and I were very busy in the cabin and we're not sure what happened. The way Bernie described it made it was plain we were making love. I blush. S.A. Hotchner looks around and questions, Well, I see dead bodies and shell cases. Can anyone tell me what happened here today? Present, Jack, post-firefight. Jennifer and I get back outside just in time to see a shitload of deputies and a suit. I hate suits. I walk toward him and demand, Do you have a warrant to be on this private property? He gives me a funny look and responds, We don't need a warrant when. I interrupt, I know you have some latitude when you think there are criminal acts being performed on the property. However, Jennifer walks up and interrupts. Present, Jens, post-firefight. Damn, it's that FBI agent who's been bothering Ben, so I need to take care of this. I walk up and sarcastically interrupt, Hello again, S.A. Hotchner. If you were doing your job, then this wouldn't have happened. He gives me a shocked look and answers, Ms. Donaldson, I don't know what you mean. I explain my thoughts. Well, if the FBI wasn't sitting on their collective butts and eating donuts, then perhaps they could have prevented the attack on us by this Colombian narcotic cartel army. Perhaps that wasn't the wisest thing to say as S.A. Hotchner gets upset and threatens. Well, I think it would be better if we continue this conversation at the jail. Everyone groans. Then the most amazing thing happens. Present, Mira, Ira, and Alexei, post-firefight. When we see the police vehicles arrive, we depart haste of post into the cabin because we are not compatriots with the police. The luck of the lady grins again in our direction as we oculate Ms. Donaldson and Mr. Reynolds open and enter a secret passage. Once they enter the passage, I look at my sister and brother and state, We must investigate this. So we slip into the subterranean passage after them and are amazed in fullness. There was no concept in our collective conscience of such a subterranean subterfuge. Alexei says, My sisters, this reminds me of Alice through the looking glass. Irinka shushes in a whisper, Alexei, your voice echoes within the confines of this tunnel. We come to a doorway, open it, are delighted by what we oculate, so we transverse into the room and close the door. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. We escape the opposing fields of fire by Byron fragging the hell out of one of them and using a smoke screen on the second nest. Then we take off running. I'm trying like hell to keep up with Byron and Inga. I see them run around a corner, hear weapons fire, see them drop, and for once I'm glad I'm not as fast as Byron. I pull out my knife, a mirror, and take the gum out of my mouth. I use the gum to stick the mirror on the knife and slowly stick it around the corner and screw me. I see what the hell has taken down Byron and Inga. I drop my pack, rummage through it for the one special weapon I brought, find it, and get ready to. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim, firefight at the Not Okay Corral. I can't believe it. We thought we had come to an agreement with this damn Truth Network Mossad death squad, so I release my grip on the hostage, then the scumsuckers attack us. Thank God it was only martial arts. But the scumsuckers use Krav Maga, which is deadly as hell. Screw them and screw the horse they rode in on. Matt, Jim, remember they were some of the highest ranked Marines in martial arts, and I don't do too badly myself. And I begin to kick asses and take names as the van swerves all over the road. Finally, the worst thing that could possibly happen occurs. Present, Maria, behind the Truth News Team van. What in the hell? The Truth Network news van is swerving all over the road like a blind, crazy drunk is driving. I watch, say a prayer for my Linus, then. Hell no. The van rolls over. I slam on the brakes, slide to a stop, grab my rifle, and jump out of my damn car. Present, Stacy, at the vets. I'm crying like hell because I miss Ben. Shit, Samantha has the horse-shooting scumsucker Frank, and I have. Well, I have no one. Patches must sense how upset I am because she comes over and nuzzles me. I stroke her hair and remember the wonderful times I had with Ben as I slowly fall asleep. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Night moves. I can't find the scumpsuser. I run back upstairs, find the abused girl and ask, where the hell did he go? She looks at me and explains, I think he has a panic room in the basement. I think for a moment and reply, okay, you have 10 minutes to clear you and everyone else out of this house. For some reason, almost all panic rooms are located in basements. Probably because they only have to protect the top and sides, and not the bottom. I run downstairs and sure enough, I find the panic room. I take one look at the door and know there's no way I'm going to breach it. I study the walls, then I get a hell of an idea. Now if I only have enough time before the police arrive. Flashback, Masha, in hospital. Some doctors ran past, and my love Jack questioned, why all the commotion? Don't tell me Ben's gone. I didn't know what to say until Tatiana ran over and excitedly informed me. That was Mikhail Kyorov. He is the best surgeon in Russia and is Putin's private surgeon. Oh, how I wish I could be in surgery with them. But she held up her hands, shrugged her shoulders and lamented, alas, with these hands I would be of no help right now. I smiled and comforted Tatiana. But if you had not helped to remove the shards from Ben's back, he might not have lived. She smiled and nodded. Yes, that is true. As it was, he did die twice during the flight. Jack annoyed me by interrupting. Masha, please tell me what's happening. I looked at Jack and answered, my love, Ben must still be alive. Tatiana informed me that one of the doctors who ran past was the best surgeon in Russia and is Vladimir Putin's private surgeon. Jack held me and whispered, Masha, I will never be able to forgive myself if he dies. I crossed myself, pulled out my prayer rope, and began to pray. Flashback, Tatiana, in the hospital. This was strange. I had some feelings for Ben. It was not like me to have feelings for patients, especially those who would probably die. I watched as Masha prayed, and some might think that's unusual for those in our profession, spies and assassins. However, we were raised from childhood in the church, and prayer was ingrained in our behavior. And many of our Orthodox monks were warriors. With my damaged hands, I could not use a prayer rope, so I joined her and counted my prayers on my fingers. Flashback, Jack, in the hospital. I looked at Masha, saw she was holding some sort of rope, and looked to be in a trance. She was praying. I looked over at Tatiana, and damn if she didn't look like she was in a trance too, while she appeared to be counting with her fingers. I didn't really know how or what to pray, so I looked up and asked, well, God, I've got a feeling Ben's work isn't yet done here. So how about you give him a few more years to finish his work? My phone rang again. Damn, it's the Major. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I had all the techs working on the computers. I called the FBI and the NSA, and they had the same problems. I desperately needed intel, so I called Sergeant Reynolds. I could tell when he answered, he wasn't happy to hear from me. He answered, yes, sir. I questioned, Sergeant Reynolds, what's the status of Sergeant Blaine? Flashback, Jack, in the hospital. Son of a bitch. The Major wasn't beating around the bush, and I sure as hell didn't want to talk to him right now. I made static noises into my phone and apologized. Sorry, sir. Be bad. Breaking up. Then I hung up the damn phone. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. What the hell? Damn, Sergeant Reynolds just hung up on me. I didn't believe for a moment he had cell phone problems. I called again and heard, the phone you have reached is not in service or is out of our service area. Son of a bitch. I had a good mind to recall his but back to America and then send his damn but to Thule. My office phone rang. I answered and the old man yelled, what the hell? I interrupted, made my own static noises and said, sir. Comp, virus, phone system. Then I hung up on his butt. You know, sometimes Sergeant Reynolds has a hell of a good idea. Flashback, General Glenn, undisclosed base. Son of a bitch. I think the Major acted like we had phone issues, and then he hung up on me. I called him again and got a fast busy signal. Had every damn piece of electronic gear gone on the fritz? I called my aide, but this time the phone worked fine and I told him to go over and fetch the damn Major for me. That damn Major may think he was smart, but you don't get general stars without knowing all the tricks. Flashback, Jens. Well, I had all the information I needed for now. I connected to Ben's nasty Major's computer and uploaded a new program that would make sure any document he tried to create with either Jack's or Ben's name in it would automatically notify me and let me control it. Then I went on the internet relay chat channel the bots were monitoring for instructions and issued the terminate command. My order deleted, without a trace, the infections on all the computers. Then I made sure as heck to scrub all my tracks because my simple Britney file had infected the whole government and they were going to be looking for me. Huh. Mess with the best, die like the rest. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. Well, my computer seemed to work better, but I was still missing that damn document. My pet sergeant came into my office and stated, sir, All the computers seemed to be working fine. I walked out, looked, and sure enough things were almost back to normal. I said almost because someone screwed up our computers once, and that means they could do it again. The phone rang. I picked it up and the old man said, "Major, that was a hell of a job fixing all the computers in such a timely manner." I lied, "Thank you, sir. It was difficult, but we managed to take care of everything." Then unfortunately he added, "Now since this crisis is over, I need a report of what the hell is going on in Russia." I needed to buy some time, so I waffled, "Sir, seeing as all the computers were down, it will take me several hours to generate the report." He stated, "Well, normally I would tell you that you had 1 hour, but since you did such a great job on the computers, I will expect to see you tomorrow at 0900 hours with a complete report." That's just great. Now I have to stay up all night to create a damn report of which he would only read parts. I decided to call Sergeant Reynolds again and got the same damn phone message, so I sent him an email telling him to report to me in America ASAP. I'll teach his butt. But what the hell? My computer refused to send the email? Flashback, Ben, junior high school, 1 month later. This last month I tried to be the model student, but it didn't work. I still got blamed for things which I didn't do and also received the subsequent unjust punishments. But I didn't just sit on my rear this last month, so I now had a huge hoard of aerosol cans. Also, I had learned one glorious new trick from chemistry. That being said, I wasn't a total angel this month. I did break into the chemistry closet and liberated the chemicals I needed for going ahead with my retribution. Before I tell you what I did, I need to tell you a little about my school. My school was built in the Dark Ages. Well, not literally, but we did have an old coal-fired furnace. Yeah, that's right, our custodian of... No, let's talk about it first. He was fat, bald, had a tattoo of an anchor on his forehead, and drank like a sailor. He was also one scary SOB, and we all stayed out of his way. But he was also sort of cool. He had holes drilled into all the girls' locker rooms, which we all knew about and shared. So sex education took a whole new meaning with us. I remember the time he got drunk and didn't turn off the sprinklers on the football field, and that night it got cold enough to freeze the field. It was funny as hell watching all the football players. Did I mention I hated all of them? Falling on there, but's all game day. Enough of the sidetrack about and back to the school. We probably had the last coal-fired furnace in the state of Colorado, if not America, or the world. It was Ove's job to shovel coal into, as he called it, the SOB, or if he was really drunk, the SOB. This had to be done every day, several times a day. On the days when I've passed out drunk, well, the school got damn cold until someone, sometimes me, would sneak down into the furnace room and feed the coal to the hungry beast. We never could figure out why Stern Vern, our principal, didn't fire his butt, but someone found out that I've had something on Stern Vern from their shared time in the Navy. I've left the door to the basement in the SOB, coal-fired furnace, unlocked most of the time because who in the heck would want to go in the furnace room? Well, I would to be exact. One day when the school started to get cold, you could tell cause the girls would wear their coats in class. I asked to go to the bathroom, but instead lit out for the furnace room. Sure enough, Of was passed out and smelled like booze. I took the massive number of aerosol cans I'd hidden, all the chemicals I'd hidden, and opened up SOB's door. I threw in twice as much coal as it needed, then threw the aerosol cans and chemicals inside, slammed the door, and ran back to the classroom. I hoped that the coal-fired SOB blew up and took all of us with her. Oh boy, this was going to be great. Flashback, Ira and Mira, in Israel. We lost the Beelzebubs during our journey, and Safia finally traversed us into our sanctuary. Not a location merely to escape, but an actual church sanctuary. I questioned, "Are you confident we will not be discovered in this location?" She replied, "Yes, the Mossad will not breach the doors of a Christian church. It would cause a huge incident, and we have hidden here many times." I viewed the people assembled, locked vision with my sister, and declared, "Irinka, I have a plan." Present, Jens, post-firefight. I made a tactical mistake when I insulted S.A. Hochner, and he responds as only a government stooge would. Well, I think it would be better if we continue this conversation at our holding facility. Shark doesn't help the situation as he runs up and begins growling and snapping at S.A. Hochner. He gets ready to pull his gun, and I get ready to take him out when the most amazing thing happens. Present, Todd, post-firefight. I have been observing the altercation with S.A. Hochner from the back of the crowd, but he hadn't observed me. When he threatened to take all of us to jail and then started going for his pistol to shoot Jennifer's dog, I knew I had to do something. I step to where I have a clear shot, take an arrow and bury it right between S.A. Hochner's feet. He jumps and yells, "Okay, who's the wise guy?" I work my way through the crowd and grin widely as S.A. Hochner's face turns white. Yes, he recognizes me, and he also knows that I outrank him, or at least I used to. I walk up, begin to sign, and he apologizes, "Sorry, sir, but I never learned sign language." I turn, smile at Jennifer and sign. Jennifer, would you please translate for me? I make sure they both can see me and sign. S.A. Hochner, your actions here today have been heavy-handed and disappointing. It's obvious when you examine the casualties you will see that we were attacked by a Colombian narcotic cartel hit squad. Now isn't this something the FBI is supposed to investigate and protect us from? Present, Jack, post-firefight. Damn, Todd is giving the damn suit the shit he deserves. It makes me wonder who the hell and what the hell Todd is or was. I continue to listen. S.A. Hochner whines, but sir. Todd interrupts with furious signing. There are no buts here. I will be informing your superiors of your actions. Now we're tired and hungry, so why don't you get the deputies to collect the bodies for transport to the morgue in Denver? I want you to supervise a full autopsy on each of them with a full narcotic panel, and then I want a written report from you, including how such a large armed force could enter this country undetected. You are dismissed. S.A. Hochner turns away, starts to order the deputies when Mabel comes out and announces, it's dinner time. If some of you could help set up the temporary tables and help bring the food out, I have enough food for everyone, even the deputies. We cheer and practically stumble over each other to help with the tables and the food. Soon we all sit down and get ready to dig in when Jens interrupts. Oh no, you don't. We don't eat at my house until we pray first. Mabel reminds, and there will be no vulgar language at my table. We have a little one present. Jens bows her head, and we all pray. Afterwards, I lean over and question, Jens, where are the twins and Alexei? She complains, Jack, are you trying to make me lose my appetite? I answer, hell no. I was hoping that Alexei could watch Ivan while I ate. Mabel saves the day when she comes over and offers, can I hold the little one? I hand Ivan off to Mabel and dig into one of the best damn beef stews I have ever had. And with the lack of conversation around the table, I know I wasn't the only one that felt that way. Present, Mira, Ira, and Alexei, post-firefight. Alexei states with a grin, my sisters, this reminds me of Bilbo Baggins' Hobbit hole in The Lord of the Rings. We both giggle at his representation. Our auditory units detect Ms. Donaldson and Mr. Reynolds' departure, and we exfiltrate the sleeping abode to reconnoiter this subterranean subterfuge. First, we determine that while it takes a code to infiltrate the Hobbit hole, no code is required to exfiltrate. As we traverse the Hobbit hole, the lights progressively function to illuminate our way. We find many more sleeping abodes, a food preparation abode, and an expansive food storage abode replete with a tremendous amount of available sustenance. We encounter a mystery abode with an all-steel door and a combination lock. There is a large cavern which is for meetings and a long side tunnel. We traverse up the side tunnel and approach an exit. Alexei commences to open the door while I caution, Alexei, we do not know what is behind the door. He opens it. We shine our lights and discover we have arrived at the vehicle storage building which we had oculated when we previously reconnoitered the property. As we close the door, Alexei turns and states, Mira, when you and Mr. Blaine are wed, all this will be yours. I touch my lower abdomen, smile at him, and respond, yes, Alexei, you are correct. However, first, he must marry me. Every 10 meters throughout the tunnel, there are communication panels on the wall. Alexei touches one, and it springs to life. He begins to manipulate it, and we exercise the surveillance cameras outside. We notate everyone is eating around tables, and I declare, I need sustenance for the infant. Alexei continues to manipulate the information panel. Then something terrible happens. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. Byron and Inga are trapped undercover, and I need to take out the tank that has them pinned down. I rummage through my pack, finally find the weapon I was looking for, extend the tube, flip up the sight, step around the corner, and launch the light anti-tank weapon at the tank. We were in luck. Because this was a damn old tank with practically no armor, the law punched a hole in the tank. Then all hell broke loose as the ammunition detonated inside the tank. I yell, we need to get the hell out of here. I take off down a different alley with Byron and Inga hot on my tail. Present, Maria, behind the Truth News team van. I can't believe it. As I follow the Truth Network news van, it swerves all over the road and finally tips over. My Linus is in there. I slam on the brakes, jump out of the car, and haul to the van, open the doors and yell, Linus, are you okay? Linus, Matt and Jim boil out of the van and Linus yells, those crazy scumsuckers were shooting at civilians. We tried to stop them, but then they were going to shoot us. Well, that's the last straw. I dive into the van and begin kicking butt. Present, Linus, Matt, and Jim, Van Reek. I tell Maria what happened, and she goes batshit crazy. She dives into the van and starts kicking Major, but she tosses one of the most sad out. He's a bloody mess. Jim looks at me and says, damn, I'm not sure she's safe to be around. If you ever piss her off, she might kick your butt. Matt laughs. I would agree with that. Finally, I hear, stop. We surrender. Maria yells. Then get your sorry butts out of this van before I beat on you some more. The Mossad slowly get out of the van. I take one look at them and fight back laughter. They look like they have been through the ringer. Not a one of them isn't bleeding from the face. Maria steps out behind them. Her gun is trained on them. She grins and declares, now that was fun. I look at the van in question. Who's going to call Liz and tell her they wrecked the van? Everyone looks at each other until the leader says, I'll call Samantha and let her do that. Present, Stacy, at the vet's. I finally cry myself to sleep, but a damn phone rings and wakes me up. Samantha answers it, and I hear, what the hell happened? I listen, but I can't hear the other side of the conversation. She hangs up the phone and says, well, that's just great. I sit up and question, what's wrong? She answers, Liz is going to kill me. The team just destroyed another news van. I lay back down and secretly smile. If there's no news van, then there's no way they can chase Ben. I hear her calling Liz as I slowly drift off to sleep. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Night moves. I figure what the hell. If I can't blow the panic room, I'll just have to blow the whole house. I take all the det cord I have, use all the C4 available, and mold it to the wall of the panic room. I place the detonator on the end of the det cord, then take off to find the furnace room. I bust the gas line off the furnace, head upstairs to the kitchen where I bust the gas line off the stove, then haul outside. I can hear the sirens approaching, so I run as far as I can from the house, crouch under a bush, and light it up. The ground shakes, and the house erupts in a huge fireball. When the dust clears, nothing is left except a smoking hole in the ground where the house and panic room used to be. I check my watch, but it's too early to head back to Margaritas. I decide that after a good night's work I deserve a beer, so I head toward a bar. I'm almost there when, hell no. Flashback, Jens. I had been thinking about Ben's pet Major, all the problems he had caused for Ben, and I came up with a brilliant idea. Yes, this would take care of him once and for all. I had my special bot on his computer, so I started it and gave it a new set of instructions. Then I leaned back in my chair and giggled. Yes, mess with the best and get your rear kicked like the rest. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. I decided I needed to redo the report, which would implicate Sergeant Reynolds. I knew the old man was going to need to see me soon, so I needed some protection. The words literally flew off my fingers, and in no time not only was I finished, I believed it was one of the best pieces of work I had ever done. Hell, I should write novels for a living. I saved it just as the old man's aide walked in and stated, Sir, the general would like to see you immediately. I replied, let me print this report for him, then we can leave. I had a hard time keeping from laughing as I printed the report. I was going to get off scot-free. Flashback, General Glenn, undisclosed base. My aide fetched the damn major, but I still made him wait in the outer office as a matter of principle. After 15 minutes I called him into my office, and he had a damn grin on his face. Something was up. I started, Major, we have a serious international incident brewing. It appears that Sergeant Blaine disobeyed orders, entered the Bestland school, and was consequently wounded. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed base. Damn, how did the old man get his information? I needed to figure this out, and quickly, but I had my butt covered with the report. I smiled and stated, Sir, this report should clarify everything. I handed it to him and leaned back in my chair as he read it. He read it. I tried to read his face, but he had the best damn poker face I'd ever seen. He did flip back and forth several times, made a couple of notes on the report. Then he finally looked up and said, Major, I must say I didn't expect to see a report like this. I smiled, believing my plan had worked. But then he continued, it takes a brave as hell man to admit to his mistakes like you have done with this report. My chin about hit the floor, and I stuttered, mistakes? I don't understand. He smiled at me and explained, yes, it says in this report that you are responsible for not supervising Sergeant Blaine adequately, and that you take complete responsibility for the results. I gulped and asked, Sir, might I review that report? He laughed and answered, hell no. It's the most honest report you've ever given me, and I plan on keeping it. Now, Major, since this is your fault, I expect you to fix it before it gets out of hand. Pack your bags because you're going to Russia. I questioned, and my mission? He laughed, it's all right here in the report. You are to put out any fires using any possible means. Now you are dismissed. I want you in Russia yesterday. I stood up, left the office in a daze. What the hell just happened? Flashback, Jack, in the hospital. I had been waiting forever to hear more about Ben, and I was concerned as hell. I knew he was tough, but there's a limit to everything. The women kept praying. I even said a few more prayers myself, and was just getting ready to start making deals with God when a surgeon walked into the waiting room. Even speaking Russian, I could tell he said Ben's name. The three of us leapt off the chairs and made a semicircle around him. He began to speak in Russian, so I pleaded, please can you speak in English? He cleared his throat and said with a Russian accent, Ben Blaine has survived the surgeries, even though he died thrice on the operating table. However, we were able to resuscitate him each time. He had 4 gunshot wounds in the back, plus the additional injuries from the ceramic body armor. If he lives through the night, then it will be a good sign. However, there are other complications. I questioned, what are the other complications? The surgeon stated, well, his eyes have flash burns, and we cannot tell if he will ever see again. He paused, and I urged him to continue. There's more you haven't told us. He shook his head. One of the rounds hit his lower spinal column. We will not know until later if he will ever walk again. The surgeon was still shaking his head as he turned to leave. Screw me. I can't believe that Ben might not ever see or walk again. Masha hugs me and pleads, Jack, my love, this isn't your fault. Tatiana hugs me and states, Jack, Ben is a strong young man, and he has the best care in Russia. You need to stay positive for him so he does not lose hope. Before the surgeon gets through the door, I add a request. Sir, might we be able to see Ben and possibly sleep in his room? The surgeon turned, looked at us and promised, I will write orders as you request, but he needs his rest. I profusely thanked the doctor as he continued through the doors. Damn, what a mess I've gotten us into. Flashback, Ben, junior high school, 1 month later. Thank God I made it back to the classroom before the furnace bomb went off. I was sitting in my desk and fidgeted with anticipation until it began. We first heard this low, moaning, rumbling sound. The teacher stopped teaching, looked at the furnace vent, and remarked, That's a peculiar sound I've never heard before. Next, the furnace vent belched and sent a massive amount of coal dust and sulfur dioxide gas. It smells like concentrated rotten eggs, and that was what I learned in chemistry class. Into the room. Instantaneously, we all began to cough like crazy. The girls started puking, which made the room smell even worse, and the fire alarm went off. We were supposed to march outside like good little robots, like we did during fire drills. However, this was not a fire drill. It was the real thing, and we did not behave like robots. We stormed the outside door of the classroom. It was everyone for themselves. The sweet mountain air never tasted as good as it did that day. I stood there and watched, but unfortunately the school wasn't destroyed. It didn't even burn down. However, some good did come out of it. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. We acquired the nunnery costumes for myself, Ira, and Safia. Fortunately, the uniforms were sufficiently rotund, and yes, my vain sister Irinka complained, that we could adequately conceal our weapons. We walked toward the front door of our Catholic sanctuary when we heard, Sisters, where do you think you are going this time of night? We turned and oculated the Superior Mother. I decided to engage in some mirth, so I duplicitously stated, Superior Mother, we are going to traverse the streets to encounter numerous males with whom we will have multiple erotic liaisons. She sputtered, Well, I never. Safia joined in the mirth and added, That's right, you shriveled old bitch. We traversed the doorway and exited onto the street, which had multiple IDF forces in attendance. They viewed us in our disguises and permitted our planned egress. We moved haste of post toward our house of safety. Present, Jens, outside dinner. I'm savoring this beef stew and wondering how Mabel does it. Everything that she prepares is incredible. I need to thank Tom again for finding her, because she has become an essential part of our team. I think about our situation and ask, Jack, is Ivan going to be okay with Masha being gone? He answers, he's a great kid and will miss her, but he won't cause any problems. What the hell? A piercing siren sounds, and I recognize that someone has set off the alarm system for the tunnels. Jack looks at me and complains, Don't tell me they're back. I lean over and whisper, Not unless they were able to get into the tunnels. I jump up and grab a legal rifle when S.A. Hotchner comes up and demands, What the hell is that about? I don't much like him, so I smart-mouth my reply, It's my egg timer, the eggs are done. He asks, Can I come into the cabin and see this egg timer? And why do you need a rifle to check the eggs? I shake my head and declare, Hell no, you're not coming into my cabin without a search warrant. And since you allowed the Colombians to attack us, I'm not going anywhere without a rifle. I look at Jack and say, Come on, old fart, let's check on the eggs. He complains, But the beef stew? Mabel winks at us and promises, Don't worry, you two. You go check on the eggs, and I will make sure there's plenty of stew for when you get back. Present, Jack, outside dinner. Damn, I can't believe I'm missing dinner. I haven't had beef stew like that, well, forever. Masha is a hell of a cook, but all she really knows how to cook is Russian food. Now don't get me wrong, Russian food is great, but sometimes this red-blooded American wants American food. I sure as hell hope Mabel keeps the stew warm. Hell, who am I kidding? I'd eat it even if it was frozen. We get inside and run into the basement. Jens opens the door, walks up to a security panel, checks it, and comments, Well, now we know where the twins and their bratty brother were. They somehow got into the tunnels and were messing with one of the panels. Come on, we need to have a talk with them. Knowing Yinz, I figure she's still a little sore at the twins, so I suggest, Yinz, it might be better if we have Liz here too. Yinz agrees. Yeah, that's a great idea. After all, they are her responsibility. We exit the tunnels. Yinz closes the door and announces, I'm setting the alarm. She pauses and questions, that reminds me. I wonder who the hell turned off the alarm system and let the damn Colombian narcotic army in here without warning. I watch her press some more buttons on the panel. Yasmin's face pops up and Yinz swears, that sneaky little bitch. I attempt to defuse the situation. Look, Yinz, she's a kid, and having Ivan, I know he likes to play with computers. I'll bet she didn't know what she was doing, so cut her some slack. When you and Ben have kids, you'll understand. The little farts get into everything. She smiles and replies, yeah, I can't wait to have Ben's babies. And you're right, but I do need to have a long talk with everyone when they get back, because this can't be allowed to happen again. I remind her, and remember, if it wasn't for the twins and their brother coming out ready for battle. Yinz waves her hand and interrupts. Yeah, I know. We would have been caught flat-footed. I add one more thought to try to calm Yinz. And remember, when you're talking to them, Mira is knocked up, so she might be a little unstable. I can almost see the wheels turning in Yinz's head. Then she surprises the hell out of me by saying, you know, I wonder whose baby she's carrying. I know she was madly in love with my Ben when you three were together at the spy school. You don't think that somehow? I nipped this in the bud. Yinz, there's no way in hell she's carrying Ben's baby, so get the thought out of your mind. Yinz pulls out her phone and makes a call. Present, Liz, outside dinner. Bernie and I can't get enough of this delectable beef stew. It's so good it shouldn't even be called beef stew, I know. I will call it ragout de boeuf. It's amazing how the French language makes almost anything sound better. Then the damn phone rings and interrupts this wonderful meal. For a moment I think about ignoring it, but then I pick it up. I notice it's Yinz, so I answer and say, it's your dime. She says, Liz, I need to talk to the twins about something, and it's probably better if you're here when I do it. Yes, she's still upset with the twins and Alexei for pranking her, so I know her analysis is right. I reply, okay, I'll be right in. I walk by Mabel and ask, will you please save me some ragout de boeuf? Mabel laughs. Land sakes, honey, it's just beef stew. I head inside and think, like hell, it's just beef stew. Present, Todd, outside dinner. I watch and notice S.A. Hotchner get up from the table and slowly slip away. I don't like this at all, as I believe he has concocted some nefarious scheme. Present, Mira, Ira, and Alexei, in their room. After Alexei triggered the klaxon, we exfiltrated haste of post to our room, and I began to prepare our MRE sustenance. It was regrettable that we would not partake in one of the Nubian chef Mabel's meals, as they are all delightfully tasty. We are particularly enthused when she prepares Russian food for us. Alexei complains, I do not want to consume these meals, refusing to exit. I prefer to go outside and partake Chef Mabel's food. Ira giggles and corrects her brother, Alexei, they are meals ready to eat. He disagrees. I prefer my name for them because it is more accurate. In truth, he is correct. The meals refusing to exit do have a predilection for remaining in the digestive tract. We perceive a knock on the door, and we all retrieve our weapons. I nod at Alexei. He stands to the side, opens the door, and Ms. Morgan, Ms. Donaldson, and Mr. Reynolds enter our room. I oculate that Ms. Donaldson is extremely agitated about something, so my hand signal alerts the others to be in readiness. We are shocked at what Ms. Donaldson says next, but then her mobile phone interrupts. And then Ms. Morgan's phone interrupts our conference. We visually confer with each other and continue to consume our meals, refusing to exit. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga, on a special mission in Venezuela. We haul away from the damn tank, and finally we seem to arrive someplace where we aren't being fired upon. Byron runs up on one side of me, Inga on the other, and I declare, damn, that was a mess. Byron responds, so how the hell do we get out of this country? Inga answers, if we can complete our escape to the harbor, we have a boat awaiting us. I think for a moment and advise, you know, we need to touch base with Jennifer first, so let's find a building to duck into so I can give her a call. Present, Samantha, at the vet's. I finally work up the courage to call Liz. I dial her number and apologize. Liz, I'm not sure of all the details, but we need another news van. I wait for the expected eruption and hear, Samantha, what the hell? Present, Maria, taking care of her man. Well, I'm satisfied. These scumsuckers aren't going to mess with Linus again. I look at Matt, Jim, and Linus and announce, well, let's all hop in the car and find someplace to eat. A good fight always makes me hungry. One of the scumsuckers who I just whipped complains, hey, what about us? I laugh and reply, sorry boys, but my car only seats 4. You could always try hitchhiking. I look at Jim and suggest, you're driving and Matt's up front with you. I need to spend some time with Linus. They both reply with, yes ma'am, and take off like their butts were on fire. I look at Linus and question, honey, what's going on with those two? He laughs and promises, Maria, I will tell you later. We get in the back seat. Jim begins to drive, but one thing leads to another and Linus doesn't tell me. Present, Ben, Austin, Texas. Night moves. Has all of Austin gone insane? I'm headed to a dive of a bar to get a beer. Round the corner, and three guys have a woman pushed up against a car and are feeling her up. She's screaming bloody murder, but as usual, when you need a cop, they are never around. I walk closer to them and ask, "Ma'am, do you need some help?" One of the scumsuckers turns around and orders, "Get the hell out of here before we kick your butt." I simply respond, "I'm your huckleberry." They all three turn around. The now released woman takes off, and the scumsuckers threaten, "We're going to kick your butt." Then they all pull knives. Even though it might be a waste of ammunition, I'm tired and don't want to screw with them. I draw my pistol and shoot them. Then I find the cartridge cases and put them in my pocket. They learn the hard way of the old adage about not bringing a knife to a gunfight. Now that beer is going to taste even better. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.